Come on, we're back. We're bad. You're black. I'm mad.
Man! Hey, listen. If we're going, shouldn't I have a gun?
No.
You think that when you die, you go to heaven. You come to us.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks. Take it away.
Yes, chillers. Thanks for joining us. It's Sunday night. It's 8 p.m. and welcome to the Horror Livestream's Matter Show. I'm Bass, and this is my homeboy Pete. It's Monster Week here on the 31 days of Halloween. And I'm Pete. How's it going, mate?
Fantastic, mate. And yet again, thank you very much for having me. It was the highlight of my usually dull, quite normal lifestyle. So I'm much appreciated, mate. This week hasn't been as eventful for me as last week. I was at Comic-Con and all that good stuff last week. But I have been off work for a week. So I've just been using up my holiday days and stuff like that. So there's been a lot of relaxation and a lot of kind of family stuff, which has taken up a fair bit of time as well. But I've managed to wax my monster movies, which is good. I've been allowed the time to do that. And I've also managed to fit a couple of other things in that I'm sure we'll talk about at some point as well.
Excellent, mate. Yeah, this week for me, I got a bit behind at the beginning of the week, but I managed to catch up on our monster movies. I did watch them in the wrong order, but I did get them all in there. So I'm really happy. But hey, before we get to Monster Week, we have to talk about one thing, and there's only one thing on everybody's mind at the moment, and that is Halloween Ends. So let's start by talking about Halloween Ends, mate. What did you think of it?
Halloween Ends. Well, to be honest with you, mate, I was on Thursday night. It was weird. I was up at till about 1 a.m, and I kept checking on my little viewing box just to see if the copy had popped up yet, just see if it popped up online. I think it was about 2 a.m. It still wasn't there, and I was like, go to bed, Peter, go to bed. It's too late now to actually enjoy it. Oh, we lost Massey's picture. Continue anyway. So I finally got to watch it on Friday evening. Was super excited about it, and I watched it. The first Massey's back on. The first 10 minutes or so, I would say actually the first 15 minutes or so, I was really into it. I liked the first scene before the credit sequence.
That was good, yeah.
I even liked the credit sequence. I had a feeling that this Cody character was going to be, something larger due to, a bit of discussion that had been going on prior to the movie. But I was into it. I thought that, okay, let's go with this. The movie started to lose me, mate, where Laurie was at the grocery store and she's flirting with Will Patton, and she's like being all woohoo and all that, and I thought to myself, oh, that's nice, I get to see Laurie happy. I was enjoying that bit.
Yeah.
I went out to her, and then she goes outside and some woman outside the grocery store goes, "You antagonized my Michael Myers by sticking up for yourself and giving him crazy ideas, and that's why my sister got stabbed and her husband got stabbed, and it's all your fault." And I'm thinking, it's all your fault for protecting herself? It just doesn't make any sense. And unfortunately, the movie for me veered at that point in time to the movie doesn't make much fucking sense at all territory. And do you know what? I watched it all the way through. I thought I had some good kills and everything like that. And, Corey Cunningham.
Corey Cunningham, took center stage, essentially being, Michael's, bit of a protege. And we'll talk a little bit more in depth. I'll let you have your 2 pence on it just now. But I think the biggest thing for me, mate, was it felt like a remake of Christine, with a 15-minute tacked on ending where they had a fight at the end. In fact,
it's blatant plagiarism of Christine. For me, I thought to myself, it can't be.
It's called Corey Cunningham, for God's sake. Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as his name came in, I was like, eh.
Works at a junkyard.
Yeah.
Meets Michael, who is the car essentially, and he's in a really beat up shape. But together they go on killings and get stronger and stronger. And then at the end, he even goes through a grinder, just like the end of Halloween. I read an article where David Gordon Green, or whatever his name is, sent the script to John Carpenter and said, "You don't think this is a little too Christine, do you?" Well, holy shit, it's a little too Christine. It's pretty much a fucking remake of Christine with a tacked-on fight on the end. But I thought to myself, am I imagining this, right? And then I checked out Stephen King's Twitter, right? And it says here, "I enjoyed Halloween Ends. It doesn't reinvent the wheel, but it's gasp, surprisingly character-driven." Now, driven wheel seems to have two references to a fucking car in his review of Halloween Ends. And he wrote Christine. That can't be a coincidence, man. That can't be a coincidence. But, yeah. Listen, mate, I was angry at this film, and on Friday night, I was even angry at John Carpenter for his involvement in this. I was angry at his music score, which was actually quite good. I was like, come on, where are your standards, John? Surely, when you got this script, you should have said, what the fuck is this? Doesn't Laurie Strode deserve a better send off? Doesn't Michael Myers, in fact, deserve more than 5 to 10 minutes screen time in this movie? And that bit where Corey Cunningham is assisting Michael with a kill, and Michael's, every time he puts the blade in, Michael's like, what the fuck was that, man? So I'm very angry at it. I need to rewatch it to see if I'm right about this Christine thing. I've heard other people talking about it too, but not many people are shouting about this, and I don't know why. So I need to rewatch it again, mate. But ultimately, I really fucking hated this film. I really fucking hated this film. And by the way, right at the end where Michael Myers dies, and I quite like the final fight, by the way. But you must have had a WhatsApp group, right, and said, "Oh, we're gonna stick Michael Myers on the roof of a car. The whole town want to come down and follow us down. Be there in 5 minutes." No problem. Little WhatsApp group responds straight away, and suddenly the whole town there. How the fuck did they know? Anyway, so fucking terrible film. Logic goes out the window with this movie. I didn't feel that there was any respect for the fans. I didn't feel that there was any respect for Michael Myers, the character, or Laurie Strode, the character. Jamie Lee Curtis sat there at the premiere going, it's brilliant, it's brilliant. Do you know what? The only thing that was good, Jamie, was the paycheck. The paycheck that was sat in your bank account. And, if that pays for your smile, then, fair enough. But I'm not impressed. It kind of ruined my weekend, to be fair, that movie. Fuck that movie.
So you didn't like it then, mate, eh?
I didn't like it, man. It made me angry. You never know. If I go back and watch it again, I might be less angry. We'll see. But what did you make of it, mate?
I'll tell you what, mate, I quite enjoyed it. I knew absolutely nothing about it before I saw it. I hadn't seen any clips, no trailers, no nothing. And, this whole trilogy I've not been a huge fan of. I like the second half of the first one. Yep. That was decent. And the second one I did not like at all, apart from a few nice shots in there and a few nice kills. So, going into the third one, I thought, they're already on like a flawed foundation for this last movie. And they did something different. And you know what, mate? I didn't mind at all. I quite enjoyed it. I did see the Christine, like I said, his name's Corey Cunningham, and I was thinking about the name Cunningham, and I'm thinking, is that a reference to Sean Cunningham? And then as the story developed, I thought, oh wait a minute, this is just like flipping Christine. What is going on here? But I didn't mind it. They went in a different direction. I had no problem. I didn't like the last one. I thought this one was better than Halloween Kills, I've got to say. I thought it was quite likable. There wasn't much going on in the first half, but I enjoyed watching it. It's I don't know if you compare it with I know it's a trilogy, but like I said, if you're into the trilogy, I can see you being quite angry with this one. But like I said, I'm not a huge fan of these three movies, so I didn't mind one bit. I quite enjoyed it, and I like the ending. I like the send off. I like Michael Myers getting killed. I thought that was a good scene at the end. Yeah, man, I was in all the way. At the end of it, I wasn't angry or nothing. I was like, that was decent. That was fine. No fun whatsoever. What's Pete talking about? You got to send me that message saying, I hate this movie. I was like, and I watched it and I was like, it wasn't that bad. It was pretty good.
I maybe built it up too much in my head. I couldn't help but thinking that, perhaps, if you were going to have this prodigy type character in there, maybe have this person in part 2. Like Empire Strikes Back.
I get that. It just came out of nowhere, didn't it? It totally came out of nowhere. But I mean, it's no more like out of left field than the second one. I mean, the second one, Michael Myers is like, I hate the second one. The fact that Michael Myers was like, he could do anything. He's this really old age pensioner, and he's killing people like anything. At least in this one, it's a bit more realistic. Like he hasn't got much strength. He's hiding away in the sewers and that. And because he's like an old dude now.
Yeah, so... you see, I didn't like that, because at the end when Corey goes and just gets all pissed off and mugs him, pretty much fucking like old person mugs him for his mask and that. I was like, what the fuck's that? What's just happened? Did Michael Myers just get beat up by Corey Bitchface here? What?
I don't know. I think this one, it felt to me like it played a bit more like the way it was happening, like Michael Myers getting his strength and Corey getting changing into like the evil inside him was coming out or whatever. It felt like they were pushing more towards the supernatural side, even though it wasn't like strictly supernatural, but it kind of was leaning towards there. Like the first one is. The first one, they kind of, even though that's not supernatural, they're always saying it is the guy's pure evil, is this, is that. At least this one kind of, I didn't mind so much that they were doing the same thing they did with the first one, like with the original Halloween. That they were leaning into the they were trying to make it supernatural even though it wasn't supernatural, and they did that with this one as well. So I wasn't bored with it, so I really did not mind.
I mean, as much as I did not like this film, I've got to agree with you, Bassy. I was never bored. I was depressed, but I was never bored. I will say that it fairly skipped along, and I think part of me was thinking to myself, I remember once in the movie looking at the how long is this fucking thing on, and I wasn't looking at it because I was bored the runtime. I was looking at it to think, well, it's still got time to sort its shit out. Well, unfortunately, it never did for me.
I don't know, man. I get the feeling, if it wasn't a Halloween movie, if it wasn't this third Halloween movie in the trilogy, if it was something else, you would have enjoyed it more. If it was just like a standalone movie, they'd replace Michael Myers with some other there you go, mate. If it wasn't a part of this trilogy, I think a lot of people would have liked it a lot more than they did. It reminds me of the old Halloween 3, the fact that Michael Myers wasn't even in it, and everyone getting mad. I feel like the whole thing's happening again. But yeah. But hey, let's get to some comments and let's see what anybody else can say.
Absolutely.
Okay, Mike, Real Fifth Beetle. Hey, boys. Oh, let me get up on the screen. I always forget that. All right, Mikey, mate. Nice to see you here. Halloween ends with shockingly bad. Yeah, I think I'm in the minority actually thinking it wasn't too bad. It was different, man. There's your wife.
Hey, Robbie.
Hello. I'm your little boy. All right, mate. No consistency in this new trilogy. Yeah, it was. It's all over the place, isn't it, mate?
I agree. It was like they released a movie, and then it was like, oh, what did the fucking fanboys not like about the last movie, and we'll change it and we'll do something different. And then you get Halloween Kills. Okay, what did the fanboys not like about Halloween Kills? Or they didn't like the fact that he was completely indestructible. Okay, let's make him an old wino living in a drain. They were winging it. There was no plan there. There was no 3-story arc. They were fucking winging it to a point where they actually go, well, what do we do? Has anyone read Christine? It's quite a good novel. Should we base it on that? And then we can call it your homage to John Carpenter's
doesn't the same thing happen in one of the older Halloweens where like somebody finds him and takes care of him?
Halloween 5.
Is it 5? Is it 5, is it?
Yeah, in a sewer as well, in like a cave. Yeah. It's basically echoed in this film, Halloween 5, big time. Like.
Yeah. I mean, that's not a thing to do. Like, let's be more like Halloween 5. That'll be a hit with the fans.
Exactly. And considering they said, well, those sequels don't exist. But hey,
yeah. Oh, there's Ricky all there for reviews. Now then, young Vass, how art thou on the tremendous autumn? I'm very well, mate. I'm doing really, really good. I hope you're doing well as well, mate. Mikey, the love that this film is getting from the Halloween fans is baffling. I don't know. I mean, it was only afterwards I started reading up on it, and I didn't actually watch any of the reviews, but I just looked at the thumbnails, and all the thumbnails were people going and like this, like that. And I was like, no.
Listen, like I say, I'm still stuck with the feeling when anyone says Halloween ends, I just got Michael Myers in my head going, oh. I can't get it out of my
head. Mike's, I've been bouncing between your stream and... Oh, yeah, Gareth's got stream on. It's at 7:30, didn't it? Yeah, totally. I am, mate. Really?
Wow.
Cool, man.
How did you manage that? That's unusual. How can you be in two places at the same time? Technology
I have no idea, man. Exactly.
Technology is brilliant.
So, yeah, man. I think people are going to be talking about this for quite a long time. I mean, I know it's people are already sick of it already, talking about people talking about Halloween ends. But, yeah, I might give it another go, another shot as well. You think there's going to be like an extended version come out in a while, like they did with Halloween Kills?
Apparently there is. There's... Do you ever watch Joe Bob's Driving on Shudder?
Never.
Okay. On Joe Bob's Driving on Shudder, Darcy, the male girl, his assistant, she cameos in this movie. She's the DJ's assistant with the blonde hair. And after she's been all over Twitter saying that I get killed in this movie, but they cut that scene, but it's coming out in the extended cut. So there definitely will be an extended cut, apparently. But... hopefully with a little bit more, Michael Myers orgasm. Why not? Just extend that theme just for me. Like, that would be brilliant. Like, but listen, I probably need to check it out because I was just so enraged when I saw it. So I probably need to watch it with a calm, cool head this time. But at the moment, I'm still angry, mate. I'm still angry.
Did you watch anything else this week?
I did. What the hell did I watch? What was it called? Movie on Shudder. Oh, Vasi, I recommended it.
Deadstream, something was it? Oh,
Deadstream.
Was it any good?
I had a blast with Deadstream, mate. It's a low-budget affair about a YouTuber who has said something wrong or done something wrong. He's pissed off the general public and he's basically been barred from every platform, but he finally gets allowed back on. And he basically says, well, I'm going to go and stay in this haunted house for an evening. And, and I'll set up loads of cameras. It'll be completely interactive and it's going to be brilliant. And he goes to this house and it all kicks off. Horror ensues, but it's a massive comedy horror. I would say more comedy with elements of horror. But it's a total love letter to, Evil Dead 2 with its pacing, with the shenanigans that go on. With probably more with the quality special effects of Evil Dead 1, right enough. But I loved it. I thought, I laughed my ass off pretty much all the way through the movie. There's some really kind of guffaw moments in there as well. If anyone hasn't seen it, for me, it's a total gem. I had an absolute blast with it. I absolutely didn't expect it to be as good as it was. Is
it a Shudder original or is it just one that they bought?
I think it's one that they've purchased. I think, but I think that's the case. But it's 85 minutes. It flies by, and like I say, it's super funny. It really is super funny, and it's got some really good jump scares in there as well. And the stuff that they attempt to do with like zombies and monsters and everything like that, it's very, very ambitious. So I'm all for a little low budget horror movie trying to do big things. And this was definitely one of them. But if it wasn't for that crisp, witty dialogue that it's got, it's probably not going to work. Because this guy's a bit, this YouTuber, he's a bit of a sleazeball, but you kind of like him. You know what I mean? You kind of like him. And some of his one-liners are absolutely cracking. There's this one point he's getting chased by this Sudoku-looking woman, right? And she's crawling along the floor, and he crawls down these stairs away from her because he's got like a busted leg and stuff like that. And you can just hear her sound in the background going, and then you hear just fucking topple down the stairs, and you hear him just going, ow, 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 ow. I was pissing myself, man. It is really fucking funny stuff, man. Get this movie watched.
That sounds good, man.
It's really good, really good.
Wicked, man.
But literally,
I don't. Got it. Go on.
I was going to say, movie-wise, that was it. My daughter made me watch 2 seasons of something called Mob Psycho 100, this manga thing, which was really good. But as far as horror movies, those 2 and our monster flicks have all have had time to fit in this week. What about you, mate?
Yeah, I watched a bit of like horror, but it wasn't movies; it was TV. I've been watching this. What's it called? It's called the Blumhouse Compendium of Horror. Have you watched that? It's like a documentary. I'm not sure what channel it's on. I think it's on like Epix. I mean, I just torrented it, but it's all right. I think it's 2 episodes in so far, and they're starting off at the beginning of cinema, basically, and they just talk about horror movies through history. So the first lot was mostly like Universal horrors, so it wasn't that interesting. The second one was going into the 50s and 60s with monster movies and Psycho and stuff like that. So I'm guessing that the episodes to come is going to be a lot better. But it's the same old stuff that you've seen like loads of times before in these horror documentaries. Same people talking, like John Carpenter's there, and all the Blumhouse guys are there talking about horror movies. That's all right.
These guys are on the history of horror, the Ellie Ross history of horror as well. And they're on that Shudder show, the scariest movie moments of all time. It's the same guys as well, so they must have documentary day where different documentary filmmakers come in and just shoot them.
I'm sure if you check, they'll probably be on the same sets and everything, like same room and everything. Yeah, totally. I enjoy the clips and everything, but it's not bad. The only other thing I watched was the Midnight Club. On Netflix. I only watched the first episode. The only reason I watched it was because I was reading on Google News, and it was saying that the TV show is in the Guinness Book of World Records for having the most number of jump scares ever in a TV show. Wow. So I thought, that sounds interesting. Yeah. So I watched the first episode of that. It's Mike Flanagan, who we like. I mean, I don't like his TV stuff that much, to be honest. I don't like Haunting of Hill House and Blythe Manor and all those ones. They were a bit slow for me.
I thought Hill House was good until they revealed at the end that they're all friendly ghosts, and I'm like, friendly ghosts. Yeah,
I tried watching them, but they were so slow, man. They stretched out these shows at no end.
What was his last one called again?
Midnight Mass. That was the one I did like. I really like Midnight Mass. Right, because that one was really good. The vampires and that. I was really good.
That's the one I've got to go back to. I downed tools about 3 episodes in, and the amount of people that said, Peter, you've got to go back to it because it's a masterpiece. You've got to go back to it. So I will go back to it.
It is really good, yeah. So I think he directed the first episode. He was like, I don't know if he did the whole lot, but it's a bit. It's got like swearing and everything in, but it's I think it's aimed at teens. But jump scare thing. I think maybe 1 out of like there is. I think what it is, they tell stories to each other. That's what the Midnight Club is. They sit around and they're in like this hospital. Like it's like a hospice for people that are dying,
terminally ill or something.
That are terminally ill. So at night times they come down and sit around a table and tell scary stories. And one of the stories they were just telling, it was just full of jump scares, and it was just loud bangs really, and people going boo 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 boo. So like, and it would just repeat over and over and over again. So I guess that's why it had so many jump scares.
That Mike Flanagan chap was on this week's episode of the scariest movie moments of all time, and he said that, and he popped up and he said he was talking about Lake Mungo, mate. And I know you love Lake Mungo, but he said. He said the scare at the end of Lake Mungo for him is the scariest moment of any film he's ever seen, and he modelled the scare at the end of the Hill House, where do you know where she gets hung and then her reality keeps changing. She gets hung about 5 different times. He says the foreboding aspect that it was always her, the breakneck lady, that it was always her haunting herself, telling her that, you know, this is going to be your fate, essentially. He totally kind of borrowed that from Lake Mungo and adapted it for his show. So
one of these days, Pete, I'll try and get through Lake Mungo, but like I said, it was I think I watched the first hour of it. It was so slow, man. Didn't even feel like a horror film at all. It was
all
just
about the ending, mate. It's all about the ending.
Yeah, I'll try and get there, man.
Okay.
Right, so before we crack on with these monster movies, let's quickly check out if there's any more comments.
No problem.
Ricky again. Now then, Vas, are you looking forward to the 101 release of Ghostwatch? Yeah, that sounds good. Are you a fan of the Ghostwatch?
Yeah, I've got it. I've got it on DVD, but I saw the Blu-ray out, and I'm definitely going to buy that. Like, my plan is to show the kids it, because you know they've not seen it yet, and see if they like it. The difficult thing is, you know, you've got stuff like this all over YouTube now. So the difficult thing is explaining to them, well, actually, when this happened, people thought this was real. So
did you watch it live when it was first broadcast? Because I missed it.
I watched it with you. You were there, Vas.
I'm sure I didn't watch it when it was live. I'm sure I was watching something else.
We were at a party at my dad's house, right? We were at a party at my dad's house, and even Richard Holland was there. I remember Richard Holland shouting at the screen, going, "You see the guy behind the curtain? See the guy behind the curtain?" We were all together. I'm pretty sure you were there.
All right.
As well.
One of your infamous house parties.
One of the infamous house parties, exactly, where we kidnapped my dad's house for the weekend, and then tried to put everything back as normal as we found it, with limited success. Limited to zero success. My dad always found out.
I have very, very minimal memories of those times, because I used to get a bit, used to overdo it a bit.
That's maybe why you can't remember watching Ghostwatch, to be fair.
Oh well. Savage Zombie Reviews. Hey everybody, hope all is well. We're doing really well, Dave, mate. Hi again, Dave, mate. Yeah. Hey Ricky. Hush was really good. Hush is a really, really good movie.
Hush is a movie I've watched a few times. It still works on repeat viewings. It's a good tense film, like, and I really like the villain in it as well. You know, he's like I said last week, a bastard. He's a bastard.
Absolute bastard.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's good. And obviously that's Mike Flanagan's wife, isn't it? The deaf lady in Hush.
All right, is that why she's in everything he does?
That's why she's in everything he does.
Exactly. I was wondering.
Nothing wrong with a bit of nepotism.
Yeah, that's one of the best home invasion movies. That one is, I think.
100%.
That and You're Next is two of my faves.
I do like a bit of You're Next, absolutely.
Yeah. Ricky's asking, anyone seen Terrifier 2 yet? Is it as brutal as the hype makes out? People are saying like there's kills in there worse than the one where the lady gets sawed in half. So that'd be something else, because that bit in that movie was that was hard to watch. Like,
I nearly checked out at that bit. I nearly thought that's too much, but I went with it anyway. But I hear it's pretty bad, like as in gore and everything like that. Obviously, the director even did the special effects, so he's put it all up there on screen. Apparently, every penny's gone on special effects and gore. So I'm guessing it's going to be worse than the first, as in gore wise. But I haven't seen it yet. I'm looking forward to it, though. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I wonder when it's coming out. It must be soon.
Well, something keeps popping up on my Facebook. You get them little dodgy adverts and that it listens to your conversation and then suggests something. They're definitely releasing a Blu-ray double pack with both movies on in the UK at some point in the near future, because the cover art's being done and everything like that. So, but I'm guessing it'll be streaming within, maybe might even drop before Halloween. Mind you, it's doing quite well at the cinema at the moment in the States. I think it's up 6% from the last week's taken. Yeah. So, and that's unheard of. But
it's not even on a wide release, is it?
No. So who knows? But it should be streaming shortly, because ultimately a movie like that is made for streaming.
Savage Zombie Reviews. Dave says, so looking forward to Terrifier 2. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be better than everyone thinks of Halloween Ends. Let's just hope so.
Yeah.
Ricky says I've got it on pre-order roll on the 24th, so the 24th Ghostwatch comes out.
Right. Nice.
Is it? I think he's talking about Ghostwatch, not Terrified 2.
Yeah. You guys watch it together.
You two are like third.
Hebert. But no, hey, happy days. I quite like that.
Let's get on with these monster movies, man. Let's do it.
Okay.
So, day 10 was Gremlins 2. So, you want to give a synopsis of this movie? I'm sure everybody knows. It's basically just a remake of Gremlins 1, but in a pretty high-rise building.
Essentially,
sort of thing.
yeah. I mean, Gremlins 2. After the events of Gremlins 1, Gizmo has very rudely been taken away and gone back to Chinatown with his Chinese owner, and he now lives in his little box in the I don't know what kind of shop that is.
Did that not happen at the end of Gremlins? Did he not at the end of the first one? He comes back, doesn't he, and takes him away and says,
"Yeah,
you can't take care of him. I'll have him back."
To be fair, yes, everything went wrong, but they were well within the rights to say, "Hey, get the fuck out of my house. I paid you good money for this. I don't give a fuck if it was your nephew or whatever who took the money. But the point is, he took the money. Get out." But fair enough. They wanted to do the right thing after the carnage they caused. So Gizmo is now living back with his old Chinese shop owner in Chinatown, I guess. Now, there is this corporation called the Clamp Corporation, which you've got to imagine is modeled on the Trump Corporation, who are after the real estate, particularly this area of Chinatown, so they can redevelop it. And they keep making this old Chinaman offers for his property, but he keeps declining them. And they go around and see him, give him this plush Sony little TV, and where John Glover's on the TV going, "Hey, do the right thing. I'll even give you your own shop in my skyscraper," which, by the way, I thought was a pretty good offer, to be fair. But he says, no. And then the guy goes, "Oh, keep the TV." The werewolf from the Howland says, keep the TV, and then goes away in the car. And in the car, he was like, "What should we do now? Mr. Clamp is going to be pretty pissed." And he was like, "Did you hear that cough? Don't worry about it. His cards are marked. Dr. Death will be coming for him." And you know what? It could be his werewolf senses, but he was right. So the old man dies. And pretty much leaves everything, including fucking livestock, i.e. Gizmo, in a fucking shop that's about to be bulldozed. A fucking big bulldozer comes through the shop, and Gizmo runs out, a rather embarrassing special effect as well.
Yeah, it looks terrible, doesn't it?
It's terrible, man. It's absolutely terrible, that. And then he gets accosted by the fucking policeman from Terminator 2. I think he's a security guard from Terminator 2.
Yeah, that's right.
The guy who always plays a twin, but you're not supposed to know that he's really got a twin. Yeah, that guy. And we take him back to Clamp Towers, where just so happens Billy and Kate from the original Gremlins have both taken employment in that very same building, in that very same city, in that very same planet. What a coincidence. Anyway, Billy and Gizmo hook up again. They miss each other, they love each other, and fucking Billy, clearly not having learned a fucking thing from 1984, leaves him in his fucking office and said, "Oh, I'm just going out. You stay there, you'll be all right, mate." And of course, he's not all right. He's not all right within an hour. He's multiplied, and fucking this Gremlins soon crawling all over the place. And fucking, he nearly ends New York. Billy, you're irresponsible as fuck, by the way. So anyway, that is essentially the plot set up for Gremlins 2, mate. Would you like some trivia?
Yeah, go ahead, mate.
Okay, so let me see. Well, directed by Joe Dante, we know that, and Joe Dante's done some very good films like The Howland, which is probably where he got the Howland Man back on for this movie. Rick Baker did the creature design. Rick Baker's, well known within the industries, and I think Rick Baker even did the creature. Oh, did Rick Baker do American Werewolf? Yeah, he did.
I think did he not leave the Howling to do the American Werewolf, and then
that's right.
Robotine
and Robotine stepped in. So all right, okay. So Joe Dante was aware of him from that, so that makes sense. Is Rick Baker back? Let me see. Box office.
Rick Baker doesn't do the one in the first Gremlins, does he? I thought someone else did it.
I don't know who does the first one off the top of my head, mate. To be fair, I didn't think
think
it
it's
was
the same guy that did The Fly. No, the guy that did the effects for The Fly. And he directed The Fly too.
Chris Columbus.
No, mate.
Who directed The Fly 2?
Special effects guy. Did he not direct the Fly 2?
I thought Chris Columbus directed The Fly 2.
Fuck off. Why would you think that? Chris Columbus directed The Fly 2? No, mate.
Look it up.
Home Alone 2, maybe. Not The Fly 2.
All right. Someone needs to tell me who directed The Fly 2. Anyway. So let's see. The movie was a box office disappointment. It made, let me see, 41.5 million, and the budget for this was estimated between 40 and 60 million.
Wow.
But I'm pretty sure it would have made a hell of a lot of money with DVDs, VHS sales, TV rights, and everything like that. So I don't think financially anybody was really hurting from this movie. So okay, I'll go into I'll tell you what I liked and what I didn't like, and then it's over to you, Vas. But what I liked, I really liked John Glover's impersonation of a Trump-like figure. I thought that really works for this movie. It's really quite sharp, and he's he is a bastard, but you kind of like him. You know what I mean? He's quite a nice bastard. So I really like that. The creature designs and the new variations I really liked as well. Not quite as, how can I put it? They're missing something from the original Gremlins. There's not quite enough slime or realism there. They are quite puppety in this movie. But I put in brackets, apart from the electric gremlin. What the fuck is the electric gremlin? I thought
the same thing, man. They went a bit too far with that.
It's so stupid, Vasi. I mean, I know we're watching a movie about animals that eat after midnight and turn into big scary monsters and multiply with water, but I refuse to suspend my disbelief any further with an electric gremlin, mate. That's stupid. Anyway, let me see. I put Phoebe Cates, mate. She held a soft spot in my heart throughout my,
She's very sweet in both movies, yeah.
She is, mate. No, she's Phoebe Cates. She's I was pleased she was in it. She's like an electric blanket, whenever she's on screen, I'm like that. Anyway,
very sweet.
Jerry Goldsmith's score, you can't go wrong with a bit of Jerry Goldsmith's score. It didn't blow me away, but it's it's fun, it's adequate, it's bouncy, and it's a high quality. I put down here poster art. I really like the poster art from Gremlins 2. I think I remember when I was at the Metro Center and I saw this teaser poster, and it was this picture here, and I was super excited, absolutely super excited when I saw that, and I still like it today. Let me see.
Do you know the Gremlins theme off the top of your head?
What I can what like it's dead easy to play on your keyboard because it's literally two keys. It's like that. Easy. I can't do the second bit because that's too complicated. But we'll do that first bit. Right. Okay. What else did I put here? And I put what else I enjoyed about it, especially reflecting on it at the end of this week, the overall quality compared to some of the other Gremlins knockoffs that were all over the fucking place after 1984's Gremlins. It was Gremlins knockoffs that were all over, be it Munchies, Ghoulies, whatever. So it was nice to get back to that comfort blanket of, yes, it's a silly monster movie, but it's really bloody well done, and there's some artistry in there, and there's a bit of budget as well, which is nice. So I really like that. What I didn't like, I put lack of a plot, or the abandonment of the plot once the Gremlins come out. It seemed to be set piece after set piece after set piece. Joke, and I like a bit of a joke. It is a movie about Gremlins, but I missed.
It's very silly. It's very silly.
It's very silly. The first movie, and maybe it was because I was a bit younger in 1984. I don't know, but the first movie had a little bit. It was darker. It had a bit of a fear factor about it. These gremlins might kill you. That iconic scene in the kitchen. Stands out a million miles away. Mm-hmm. Maybe they were just determined not to get a 15 this time, and get a 12. You know what I mean? Instead of maybe the rating killed the first one. But who knows? Let me see. There was right. Okay. There was too much meta for me in this movie. So there's one scene where the movie Gremlins gets reviewed in it, and then you've got the scene where the fucking projection shuts down and fucking Hulk Hogan's going,
Hulk
"Hey,
Hogan, man, why?
Yeah.
What the hell was that, dude?
yeah, you Gremsters better not mess with the Hulkster." And I'm like, Gremsters? So it had too much meta in this movie for me, mate, and for me that cheapened the original, which I really kind of the original's solid for me. Like it's got a really nice story that goes on there, and there's repercussions and there's a nice little resolution to that. And while I understand that Joe Dante was wanting to have a good time, he shouldn't have cheapened the original film for me. I thought that I didn't like that. Let me see here, and that's all I put here, mate. So it's a good film, and I enjoy it. I've seen it many times, and I'll probably see it again. But I think it's my love for the first movie that makes me be a little bit disappointed in the second one. So I've put 6.5 out of 10 for me. A solid 6.5 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm totally the same as you, man. I'm a big fan of the first one. The first one's like a dark fairy tale, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I reckon the director Joe Dante, who I am a big fan of, the guy likes cartoons too much, and this one is cartoony as anything. It's like even the beginning where it starts with bloody Bugs Bunny and Donald Duck. Did your version have that on as well?
Yeah.
What the hell, man? I mean, it's Gremlins 2. I don't know why they even stuck that in.
I forgot to say there's over 20 minutes of deleted scenes available on YouTube to look at, and there's there's even an alternative opening with Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny on a computer trying to put the title in of Gremlins 2, and it's a long intro, but over 20 minutes of deleted scenes, and good deleted scenes with hordes of gremlins and stuff like that. You should check it out.
But I think I remember the first one. It does have lots of absurd moments, but this one is it's all absurd all the way through. There's because they don't have a story for this one. It's basically just a retread of the first one. They just stuck whatever they could think of, and honestly, I'm surprised they managed to get the budget to make this sort of movie, because it feels like let's just have lots of little sequences all the way through it. And just make it as crazy and madcap as possible, and let's hope it just makes sense at the end. And it totally doesn't, man. But they just embraced just how silly and absurd the whole movie is. Gizmo's still cute as ever, like in this one, and I like all the Rambo stuff. Some of it does work. I mean, some of it does work, but a lot of it, it's just too much. And I think compared to the first one, it does cheapen the first one. I totally. Do
you think it misses a villain? For me, it misses a Stripe character in that. In this, you get an Einstein type gremlin who's actually quite nice. You like him, but Stripe's a bastard of a gremlin. He's a dick. You don't want to meet.
He's scary, isn't he? Like he's like a scary character.
He is. But
nothing. Yeah. I did like some of the Gremlins as well. I like the spider one. The spider one was my favorite. That was the only thing that was like kind of scary, but there was nothing else in there. And I liked all the returning characters from the first one, like the Futtermans and that. They were all good. And I like seeing all the people that are in that Joe Dante always has in his movies, all cropping up in this one. It was nice to see all those people.
And it's funny as well. It has some genuinely funny moments.
It just pokes too much fun at itself, and I think it went over the top. I think it should have just pulled back just a little bit and have a lot more of the dark stuff they had in the first one. I think it would have made it a better movie, because it's not cohesive at all. This film.
Oh. No,
so I mean, it was okay, but it's not a horror film, dude. It's not. The first one, you can say it'd be happy to sit in the horror section in my collection, but this one definitely would not. So
Great. What are you giving out of 10, Vas?
Don't know. I don't know. I wrote here. It does the same sort of tonal shift as like if you compare Evil Dead and like say Army of Darkness or Demons 1 and Demons 2. How it just gets goofy in the latter one, and it kind of like I think those movies have the same problem. So if you're on board with that kind of stuff, like if you embrace Army of Darkness as in the Evil Dead franchise, I think you might get a lot more out of this one. But I don't like it when they do that. Don't like it at all.
I understand. Mate.
Well, I'll give it a 7 because I watched it so many times, and I do. It's a super watchable movie. Like I've got to say, it really is super watchable. It's not boring or anything. So I'll give it that, and I think that's probably nostalgia's got a lot to do with it. But trying to be objective, it's got a lot of problems, man. This movie's got a lot of problems.
I agree, mate.
It's not my favorite Joe Dante movie. That's The Burb by a country mile for me.
I do love The Burb as well.
But it's good. It's Gremlins too, man. I don't know anyone who doesn't like the movie. Yeah, but it's not the best, man. It's not the best.
Well, fair play.
Right, so go over the comments, see what's going on there.
No problem.
Right, Ricky says, okay, the 24th, Terrifier 2 comes out. That's not very long to wait, is it?
No,
and Halloween comes out. My sis says, it can't top Portuguese Gremlins. Chi-chu. That's a reference to Community, which you haven't seen. But if you watch that, you'll see Portuguese Gremlins, which is super funny.
Okay. Yeah, I like the sound of that.
Tim's Retro Emporium evening. All right, mate. Nice to see you.
Evening.
Ricky says, Jim, you've come over to the non-blocking channel. People get blocked on Gal's channel. Ricky, Vass doesn't mind the what would happen questions. Yeah, man, get him in there. Don't mind at all.
You're right, that's
Dave's here.
Dave,
man.
Dave.
We all love Dave. Dave's awesome, man.
I've got a funny feeling Dave is 52.
Where'd you hear that?
I don't know.
Eggo's here. All right, mate. Dave says, I got to see the first Gremlins with a friend in the theaters way back then. That's a huge surprise. Hi, Vass. Hi, Pete. Hi, mate. Nice
do you know what, Gremlins? I'll tell you this quick anecdote about Gremlins, mate. Right? I don't know if you remember this at all, but when Gremlins first came out, I was so looking forward to it, mate. Right? And I was like fucking 12 or some shit like that. And anyway, they released it and they slapped it with a 15 certificate. So I couldn't go and see Gremlins, man. I was devastated. I remember crying and that at home and that. And I wrote this little letter and sent it to my local paper, The Advertiser. And it was called Gremlins Grief by Peter Thompson, and I had a 4, and it was just me bitching because I couldn't see fucking Gremlins. I remember my dad trying to console me, going, "I'll take you to see Ghostbusters. Let's see." And I'm like, "I don't want to see Ghostbusters. I don't want to see Ghostbusters." And then after a couple of days had gone by, and that I thought, well, actually, Ghostbusters looks all right. I was like, "Dad, okay, I'll take me to see Ghostbusters." And he was like, "No, fuck you. After all that shit that you gave me the other day, you ain't seeing shit." So I didn't see any of them. I was good at it. Anyway, that's me.
Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer Ghostbusters or Gremlins? That's a hard question.
That is a bloody hard question, mate, to be fair.
I'm Ghostbusters, I've got to say. As much as I love Gremlins, I like Ghostbusters more. That's just me.
I'm going to have to go Gremlins because it's... I love them both. They're both 10 out of 10 films for me. Like, the humor in Ghostbusters is no way that movie should have been a PG in the first place. Out of the two movies, it should have been Ghostbusters that was the 15. Like, but it's ironic. But no, I love them both, mate. But I've got to go with Gremlins because it brings back a lot of memories for me. It was the first sell-through VHS that I ever purchased, and I got it from a Christmas box, and I think it was like 25 quid. Which was, we weren't the richest family. That was a lot of money for a videotape. I remember Mum going, "Oh, you can get a bag of clothes. You can get this. You can get that. £25 a videotape." And I'm like, "But it's Gremlins." So yeah, and I remember, writing to the newspaper, being so much looking forward to it. So,
you remember having the Gremlins sticker book, Pete?
I do. I
remember it as well.
Yeah.
I almost filled mine, dude. I was like, maybe like I had a dozen. And then I think
Elwood filled his. But he wrote off to the Panini.
I was going to say at the end of
Panini and got the actual stickers and
specific ones,
And that's cheating for me. But hey ho,
yeah.
He filled it, and I was jealous. So fair enough, it worked.
I think they were the only two sticker books I ever collected. Was Gremlins and the Care Bears. I don't know why I did Care Bears. I think it's because of the furry ones.
Yeah, they were the furry stickers. Exactly.
They were cool, man.
What about Garbage Pail Kids? Did you never collect Garbage Pail Kids?
You know, I don't think I had a sticker book. I just had a bunch of stickers from Garbage Pail, but I never actually had the sticker book.
In that.
Yeah. Need.
Exactly. Oh, nostalgia. Love it.
Yeah.
Right.
Should we move on to day 11, which was Ghoulies 2, which I've never seen. I've never seen any of the Ghoulies. No, actually, I have seen Ghoulies 3. I watched a bit of it, and I was like, this is shit, and I stopped watching it. But this is the first watch for Ghoulies 2. In case it was part of our list, I had to watch the whole thing. And I'll say it straight, Pete. The movie's shit. Absolute rubbish. There's not a thing I liked about this movie. It was absolutely rubbish.
We talked about it last week off air, and I said to you, I was depressed that I was having to watch Ghoulies 2 again because I'd seen it a couple of times when I was younger, and I found it depressing then. So having to go back to it, I thought, well, maybe I'll like it more, but yeah, there's the poster.
All the Ghoulies are rubbish, man. All these Ghoulie characters, they're all rubbish. There's not a decent one in it.
Yeah. Well, let me give you a rundown. So let's do the setup for the movie. For no reason whatsoever, there's a priest carrying a sack full of ghoulies, running around fucking America, very much akin to the start of Halloween 3. He's getting pursued by
it is, isn't it?
Totally is.
Totally.
Getting pursued by 3 shadowy figures who
you never see them again, do you? You only see them at the beginning. You never see them again.
No idea what they're all about. They're just there. They chase into a gas station, and he runs into a gas station, and luckily, lo and behold, there is an open vat of toxic waste in the gas. Because every time I go to quick fit back, I say, they say, mind that fucking vat of toxic waste there, Pete. Just sit over there in the waiting room, and I'll say, okay, thanks, mate. You know, what's the toxic waste then? He was for, and he's like, it's to take your tire pressure, Peter. I was like, all right, okay, that explains why every garage has a vat of fucking toxic waste there. So luckily, there's an open vat of toxic waste in this garage, and the priest naturally says, well, I'm going to murder these little demons that I've got in a bag because murder, religion, they go together. Let's whack them in. So he throws them in this vat of toxic waste, and for reasons unknown, there's a flying ghoulie that's not in his bag that knocks the priest into the toxic waste. So the priest goes in there and fucking like melts in a second. I swear to God, Jeffrey Dahmer was watching this movie going, where do I get this toxic waste from? I want the Ghoulies 2 toxic waste because that's brilliant. What a performance. So basically, the priest's skull pops up, but the ghoulies, however, who've been launched into the toxic waste, they're
fine. Absolutely fine, yeah.
They all pop up, and the weird little ball green one pops up, and I swear to God, it sounds like a newborn baby. It's like that it goes, nah, like that, and I was like, what the fuck? So, the 4 ghoulies, they go to the door of the gas station, and luckily, outside the gas station, a carnival truck has pulled up containing this young guy, I forget his name, and Uncle Ned. And Uncle Ned, by the way, is he's played by a guy called Royal Dano. And when I was watching the movie, Bass, I thought, Uncle Ned, you're one of the reasons why this movie depresses me, because I can't stand, even when it's done in jest, depressing, cantankerous, morbid, always looking on the downside alcoholics. I can't stand them. and that's exactly it. It's like the director says, Mr. Magoo. Yes, we'll play Mr. Magoo, but he's drunk and depressed at the same time. Do that. And that's what he does. And I was looking up this actor, and what do you know, mate?
He's drunk in the whole movie as well. He's not sober in one scene. He's drunk the whole time.
Totally. It turns out he's in Mr. Magoo's Christmas special at one point. He doesn't play Mr. Magoo, but he was definitely stealing from Mr. Magoo for this. He also played Gramps in House 2. Yeah. He's in Killer Clowns, and his last movie role was a gravedigger in The Dark Half. So he's got lots of movie credits. But anyway, it just so happens Uncle Ned and his nephew are in this truck on the way to they're on the way to a carnival which they're about to join. Now, here's the thing: they stopped at the gas station because the truck was fucked, right? They go into the gas station. There's no one around. They have zero work done to the truck. However, the truck is suddenly fixed, and they drive on. It makes no sense. So they drive off, but unbeknownst to them, the Ghoulies have hopped in the back of the cab, and they're now on the way to the carnival. But luckily for the Ghoulies, the trailer that they've jumped into just so happens to belong to Satan's Den, I think it's called, which is like the ghost house of the Ghoulies movie. So they get to the carnival. The carnival's about to be taken over by some nasty accountant dude. It doesn't really matter, really. And there's Ghoulies in a ghost house, you know, so therefore carnage must ensue. Like, you know, that's what the people want, isn't it? Isn't it? Isn't it? And that's my setup for the movie, right? So,
well done.
Thank you, mate. So let me see. It was directed by Albert Band, who is a prolific producer, but he didn't really direct many movies, mate. He did direct Robot Wars, and this is about as famous as they get, by the way. Robot Wars, Prehysteria, and Prehysteria 2. There is major directing credits, but he has produced quite a lot of stuff. Not great. One of the stars, Kerry Remsen, is also in Pumpkinhead, which we're going to talk about later on as well. So that was my right trivia. Let me see. It was the last Ghoulies movie to be given a theatrical release. This movie got a theatrical release.
Did it really? Good Lord.
Yes. It was cut by 55 seconds by the BBFC. Who knows what was in them 55 seconds, mate? But I don't want to know what's in the 55 seconds. I don't care. Right, okay. What I liked about the movie, and this won't take long, but it's a lot more coherent than I remember. The score isn't too bad. The stop animation was a noble effort, and overall the performances were tolerable. That's about as excited as I could get about this movie, right? What I didn't like about the film, I find the movie depressing. Royal Dano's performance is relentlessly grating. Like I said, you know, drunk and depressed, Mr. Magoo. I was actually pleased when he buys it in this movie. But let me see. Right, okay. The special effects in this movie are just absolutely fucking shit, by the way, right? And that, you know, The Ghoulies are fucking dreadful in this movie. You never for just one moment. Oh, exactly. You never for one moment believe that these creatures are alive, like ever. They are. Their eyes don't even move. You know, you could literally go into Toys R Us and spend 35 quid and buy a better puppet than what's on display in these movies. Like, absolute dog shit. No, just dreadful. Right, okay, let me see. Right, and I put, toxic waste in the garage. Toxic waste in the garage. That was one thing that I didn't like about the movie. And also the end with the very large ghoulie. The very large, stupid ghoulie.
So bad, man.
Oh, man, because he has a mouth this size, but he starts stuffing in things that are this size, right? But, you know, it's like the director went, eat it. And then just eat it. And then he's like that going, but it won't fit in his mouth, dude. It's, the puppets are too big. And he's like, okay, cut away. And the next thing you'll just see a leg dangling. I'm like, I'm not buying that. That's a cheap trick. And it did that lots in that movie. And that is, you know, that scene where the big ghoulie comes back is so ponderous because he walks about fucking 2 miles an hour. It's like that scene in The Naked Gun or something where the fucking steamrollers go on towards him and he's going, oh, like that. It's so ponderous. You could have walked round him. I've got nothing really positive to say about Ghoulies 2, mate. It's a dreadful movie. Listen, I was actually being quite charitable here. I put 5 out of 10, but I'm going to knock that back to 3.
Whoa, 5 out of 10?
Yeah, no, I'm going to knock that back to 3 out of 10 because just reliving it there in my mind, I'm like, what were you fucking thinking? 5 out of 10. So 3 out of 10 for me. It was one of the week's low points, I have to say, for me. I needed a shower afterwards. What did you think of that?
I hate it, man. It was definitely the worst of all the monster movies we watched this week. It was just dreadful, man. It was absolutely rubbish. There's not a single thing I can think to recommend. I was looking for my notes for Ghoulies 2, and then I realized I just wrote Ghoulies 2 and I didn't actually write anything because it was just dreadful, man. I can barely even remember it, and it was one of the ones I watched later in the week as well because I was doing them all in the wrong order, and it was just like it was just difficult just to get through it. Really, it was just. It's
a slog. It's a total slog. It's like the Slayer of monster movies.
Yeah, I would say it's almost as bad as the Slayer. It was really, really bad, man. Yeah.
So out of 10, what you giving that one?
The third one after that one, and I think there might be a fourth one as well. That's ridiculous.
I think there is 4.
It's so bad.
Yeah. But you know, again, Gremlins knockoffs, they were all over the place, and people were buying them. You know, people were renting them. People were going to the cinema to see them. So that's one of the things that we've got to thank Gremlins for in a way. Gremlins is kind of very much in the way of did the same that Scream did to the slasher franchise for me. I love Scream as a movie, but what it did to the genre, I don't really like. Everything was very self-aware after that. And there was a lot of self-referencing. And it wasn't as smartly done as it was in Scream, that kind of thing. And when you're 100 and odd movies past Scream, but they're still doing that kind of shtick, it gets old. So very, very, very similar to what Gremlins did. It opened up this little monster categories, and there's some good ones. Critters, I like Critters.
Just thinking, Critters is actually a really decent movie.
Yeah. There's some good ones, but there's some also dog shite, and I've got to consign the likes of Ghoulies and Ghoulies 2 to the dog shite bin.
Have you seen the original Ghoulies?
A long time ago. Actually, do you know what? It's not as bad as Ghoulies 2. I think there's little bits of humor in Ghoulies 1 because if I'm not mistaken, they're at a party and they do this little kind of demon resurrection thing that goes wrong. And there's some folk at the party. They're like a drunk and stoned, and they've got a little bit of humor about them. So it's not as bad as Ghoulies 2. But
yeah. I won't be watching the first Ghoulies unless next year they put it on the list. I do not want to watch the first movie. It's totally put me off any Ghoulies movies forever.
So what did you give this out of 10?
I'm going to give it a 2, man. I fucking hated it. It was so bad. I might even give it a 1. I don't know, man. It was. I'm never going to watch the movie again.
No, not me.
Not a single good thing about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. You're right. That giant ghoulie at the end. They couldn't even be asked to have an original ghoulie. It was the same as the small ghoulie, just bigger.
Yeah.
Like, what they're doing for exactly the same as the small one, just made it bigger.
Exactly, and no wonder it didn't eat. Because I was thinking to myself, well, is he going to eat something that looks exactly like his fucking self? You know what I mean? Because I was thinking, he has to eat all the ghoulies. Surely that's his mission. But they blow him up before he has a chance to complete his mission. Surely all you have to do if you're a human being is just stay away from him, give him half an hour, right? And then when he's killed all the ghoulies, then knock him off. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Just give him a bit of time, man. He hasn't finished them yet. There's now ghoulies running all over the place because, you summoned him and then said we don't want him. No, doesn't make no sense.
Nah, it was very poor indeed.
It was.
Right, let's move on to the comments and let's get away from bloody Ghoulies.
Yep.
Dave says, I eventually saw Gremlins twice in the theaters, but I saw Ghostbusters 4 times back then.
Wow.
I remember I watched Ghostbusters at your house, Pete, the first time I watched Ghostbusters.
1984 was a great year. I remember being really aware of movies in 1984, with I think it was Indiana Jones Temple of Doom, Beverly Hills Cop. You've got the Gremlins, you've got Ghostbusters, you've got all these absolutely awesome films that all came out in 84. I remember being that was the year I think that I really kind of awoke to movies. Yeah, absolutely.
My sister says Care Bears, Gaylord. Thanks, sis.
I like Care Bears as well. To be fair, I had Friend Bear. Yeah, I had a real Care Bear. Yeah,
Care Bears is special, man. It was good.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's not mention that.
I know. I was going to tell. I don't know if you were there, Vas, but I remember I waited a very long time for the movie The Care Bears to get returned from the video store so I could rent it. Tragic, yeah.
Well, The Care Bears the movie.
Care Bears the movie.
Right. Okay. 2 seconds.
Moving on.
Let's get the next one, Pete.
Yes.
And Day 12 was another first-time watch for me. And I think it was a first-time watch for you as well, wasn't it, Pete?
It was, mate.
And that is BasketCase.
Yes.
1982.
1982. Absolutely. Okay. Have you got the
have you seen any of the BasketCase movies, mate?
Do you know what I've seen BasketCase 3 years and years ago. It didn't really make much sense to us, to be fair. Now kind of dipped in and dipped out of it. But no, BasketCase, the original, was always one of them movies that I kind of maybe subconsciously stayed away from because I thought it would be a little bit sleazy and a little, I don't know. It just, I remember certain people in the horror crowd saying, he grabs hold of this woman, etc., etc. And I thought, well, it doesn't really sound like my bag. So I remember staying away from it a little bit. But
I never realized it was so old. 1982. I didn't know it was that old, that movie.
To be honest with you, mate, I've got to be honest. I thought it was older. I thought it was older than 82. I got a wee surprise when I was looking into it a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I'll give you the setup for this film. Is basically a story about Dwayne, who was born a Siamese twin, and he kind of likes being a Siamese twin. And his brother, what's his brother's name again?
Belial.
Yeah, his brother Belial is this blob that's attached to the side of him that kind of.
It is a blob.
There he is there that lives on the side of him. And the pair of them, are quite happy. But Dwayne and Belial did kill their mother in childbirth, so naturally the father, has a little bit of animosity towards Belial, and orders a bunch of doctors to do an operation to separate Belial from Dwayne, to allow Dwayne to have a normal life. Now, unfortunately for the father, he very much underestimates the bond that Belial and Dwayne have, psychologically and telepathically and all sorts of other ways. So when they are separated, horror ensues essentially, and Dwayne is forced to, not forced, he goes on a quest with his brother Belial in a basket to downtown sleazy New York to essentially move away and track down the doctors that have performed this surgery and caused the pair of them so much heartache to exact on them a very bloody revenge. So that's the setup for this movie.
They have a psychic connection, don't they?
They do. They absolutely do. They absolutely do. It's directed by Frank Henenlotter, who, interestingly enough, only made 7 films. Brain damage, 3 brain damage movies being 3 of them. Frank and Hooker being probably the more well-known, and Brain Damage, the 2 other well-known ones. After this movie, I went and watched the making of BasketCase, and he seems like a bloody nice guy, to be fair. He was really funny, he only ever meant to really be a comedy, is what he was saying, it's all a comedy to him. And he did say that, he never really thought that anyone would ever end up seeing it, just because it was a small little
very
movie.
low budget, isn't it? It's a very low budget movie.
$35,000 this movie cost. And what basically happened was he used to get friends that he knew in the business to pop in, work for a couple of days, and then pop out. The one of the bits of trivia I've written here is the credit sequence at the end. The credits, most of them are made up names because there was only about 6 or 7 people that actually worked on the movie, so they made up a bunch of names so that the movie seemed more professional. So they're all pseudonyms at the end of the credits, which is quite fascinating. Let me see. The movie played as like a midnight movie for a couple of years, and then over those couple of years gained traction in the VHS market and word of mouth, that kind of thing, and it became kind of a notorious movie. Right, okay. What I liked about this film, I liked its low budget. I liked its guerrilla filmmaking. I thought the performances, while sketchy, were decent and kind of lended itself to the aesthetic of the movie. Nothing was completely professional and completely perfect. surprisingly good makeup effects, as in the the cuts, the bruises, and the kills and stuff like that. They were surprisingly good. But interestingly enough, the chap who designed Belial was. I think he might be uncredited. He just finished a movie called Altered States, and he had a couple of the molds left from Altered States. You know that William Hurt movie?
Yeah.
He pinched them, stole them, and used them on this movie. So they kind of landed on their feet there because they really didn't have a budget even for the creature, but they just knew this guy who just worked on Altered States, and he pinched the mold from Altered States. And
I can see the similarities actually between Belial and some of the and William Hurt, where he gets all he regresses into like a primordial state in that movie.
Absolutely. That's the reason why, mate. So yeah, good makeup effects. I put hilarious stop motion scenes. They made me laugh, mate. I laughed out loud with those scenes, like, because it was so naff.
They're quite engaging, though. I quite like those scenes.
Totally, mate. Totally. I put Belial's scream. It's blood curdling and hilarious at the same time. It's like, He screams all the way through this movie.
Yeah, he doesn't talk, just screams. That's it. Yeah.
Exactly. Let me see. What did I put in here? Just how stupid it was. It is kind of self-aware. I also love kind of some of the additional characters. I very much like the hotelier guy who kind of reminded me of John Belushi downstairs, and that he was kind of this sleazy John Belushi type figure in the hotel reception, and him kind of having a bit of back and forth with some of the other residents remind me of the Blues Brothers. That scene, like, get me cheese whip, boy, and stuff like that. So I was having all these bits of flashbacks there. So I really liked all that stuff. What I didn't like, and then there's not much I have to say, mate. Some of it is a wee bit gratuitous, a little bit it goes a little bit sleazy. Towards the end of the movie, there's like kind of puppet rape that goes on, and it's a wee bit sleazy because the camera lingers, I think, a little bit too much. It is tongue in cheek. And it is not to be taken seriously, that's for sure. But I think the camera just lingers a little bit where it probably shouldn't linger a little bit, and it doesn't feel right. And that was really the only kind of critique that I had about it, because this movie was a total surprise for me, Vas. I didn't realize how much I would actually enjoy this movie and how much it zipped along. For me, I was pleased that I'd watched it, and I was kicking myself that I'd waited too long to watch it. Will I, return to it every year or so? Probably not. But for those hour and 40 minutes or whatever it was on for, I had a bunch of respect for
it's a worthwhile watch.
Yeah, I had a bunch of respect for the filmmakers. I had a bunch of respect for the storyline. It's horror beats were genuinely, horrifying at some points. Belial screaming is proper blood curdling. And the whole, his eyes light up at the end, and that it's some really good imagery there as well. But it's ultra low budget, So I came away from this one, mate, reasonably happy. I give this a solid 7 out of 10. I was kind of over the moon that I watched this one.
Wow, very good. Yeah, I liked it a lot more than I thought I was gonna. I have to say, yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's not that sleazy at all, as I thought it was going to be as well. But the ending is, I did not like the ending very much at all. From the dream sequence, where there's a bit too much male nudity there, gratuitous male nudity. I could have done with that. Where he's running down the street. I did not like that. And the scene afterwards with his girlfriend, that was bad. That I didn't enjoy that at all. That was really that was a big turn off. But everything else, it's actually a decent story, and it's well told. Despite the budget, and it's not. I can't say that it was very convincing, some of the scenes, but I could appreciate it. I could appreciate that with what they had, they did a damn good job.
I felt a little bit of John Landis in there, some of the dialogue, the way it was delivered. It felt a little bit American Werewolf in London. The kind of the dryness to it. supposed to be taking itself seriously, but you could tell it wasn't taking itself seriously, and I appreciated that. The bit that you referred to there, where the guy's running naked in the streets, that was it's referred to in the making of the movie. They originally wanted Belial's character to be running down the street, but they had zero budget for it, and they did not know. Yeah, they did not know how they were going to do it. So they basically said to the guy who plays Dwayne, "You're up." So they essentially had two people at the end of the street, and when it was quiet, they went, "Run for it!" And there was a car waiting at the end of the street with his heating on that he just ran to and jumped in the car to get it done. So it's like they had no permits for nothing. So all the kind of sleazy guys that are walking past him on the streets and all that, they're all real gadgets. And the director was saying, at that time when we filmed down there in the heart of New York, people were getting killed down there. It was dangerous filming down, and it looks dangerous in the movie.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. Early 80s, late 70s, sort of like when New York was like a place you just don't want to go to.
You don't want to go. Exactly. So, well, I'll give this 7 out of 10, mate. What are you thinking on this one?
I don't know. I might give it I'll give it a solid 6, mate. I'll give it a solid 6. I didn't quite understand how the girlfriend who worked at the doctor's office.
Oh yeah.
Did you see the state of the doctor's office, by the way? When he went in to see the doctor, the flipping place is crumbling. They must have just got like this all the apartment block and just like made it into a doctor's office, because I was like, I would not go to a doctor's office when it looked like that. Honestly, the place is falling apart.
Totally.
But the girlfriend, that relationship, that happened a bit too quickly for me. Don't you think?
It was a strange one. She was very clingy straight away. She was like, what you doing? I could show you around and all this. She was very forward there. It turns out that she was bald, this woman, the actress who played her. She was a lead singer of a punk band. So she's clearly wearing that god-awful wig all the way through the movie, but that was the reason she was bald underneeth.
I didn't realise it was a wig, I'll be honest with you. Was that a wig?
It's god-awful.
I guess I don't pay that much attention.
No, fair play. But that all did happen to quite fast, but they all seemed, certainly when I looked at the making of them, we had all the, most of the cast there, including that a black lady who played his neighbour, and she was really good in it. I kind of liked her.
Yeah.
She was kind of the nice person that lived in this building full of shady characters, and she at this point in time she's doing Basket Case on stage, where she's basically just redoing her part for like these horror tropes in the stage. She's loving it. She's living the Basket Case dream. Like she dines off it, bless her.
I don't know how they would have made a sequel to Basket Case when they both die at the end, don't they? How did they get 2 and 3?
I mean, again, I've not seen Basket Case 2, but in Basket Case 3, it is the same guy. Like, it's Dwayne, but they don't refer to Basket Case. I mean, essentially, from what I gather, Basket Case 2 and Basket Case 3 are your absurd Gremlins 2 type sequels, where it's all humor and it's all completely in your face. They had a lot more money for horror design, so there's a lot more puppets there, if you like. But yeah, it's all absurd kind of horror. After that, I mean, this is absurd horror as well, but there is a horror story being told in there as well, which has genuinely moments of unease in there, where certainly Basket Case 3 that I watched, there was no unease at all.
I've got to say, Belial in Basket Case, for a super low budget movie, it was more believable than all the Ghoulies put together. Don't you think?
Absolutely. I believe that Belial was his Siamese twin, his pissed off Siamese twin. Yeah, absolutely. I believed it, but I didn't believe any of the Ghoulies. Like, no way.
No way. Right, let's get on the comments before we get on to the next movie. Let's have a look here. Dave says, I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark 11 times in the theatre, Temple of Doom 8 times, and Last Crusade twice. I saw Last Crusade at the theatres. Wow. At those times. Wow, man. I love Raiders of the Lost Ark, man. It's my favourite out of the 3.
Raiders is the best,
Adore that movie. Dave, I like Basket Case 1, but Basket Case 2 and 3 kind of went off the rails for me a little bit, or a lot of it. Like, it went from a horror movie to some goofy comedy all of a sudden.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Dave says, I found Alter States kind of good, but also kind of disturbing in some ways as well, knowing it was supposed to be disturbing also. It's kind of trippy, that movie, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think I've only ever seen it once a long time ago, but I remember it's a really trippy movie to watch.
Yeah. It was a long time ago for me as well. I have to say.
Dave says I give Basket Case 1 out of. I give Basket Case 1 a 6 out of Boosty 10. Part 2 maybe a 5. In Part 3 maybe a 4. Again, it was just wicked weird how they changed tones for parts 2 and 3.
Yeah. I think the director in the making of, he refers to Basket Case 3, and even he refers to it as a shit movie. You know, he says, if I have any regrets, it's Basket Case 3 right now. So
he directed all 3 of them, did he? Yeah.
All 3, yeah, all 3. He couldn't get another gig, essentially. You know, anybody who he approached with other ideas for other movies, they said, we'll, make a sequel to Basket Case, and we'll have a chat about another movie for you. And they would take the Basket Case sequel, but he would never really get his other movies off the ground.
Yeah. I've never seen Frankenhooker, but I quite like Brain Damage. I think it's a proper decent movie.
Brain Damage is good, yeah. I mean, it's a sick, twisted film. When I saw it when I was a young'un, I remember it making me feel a little bit icky, because it's just brains and that, it's just mashed up, nasty brains going into that guy's flies and that, brain, it goes into his flies, and I'm like,
it's Elmer, isn't it? Elmer,
yeah, absolutely, yeah. And that little needle thing, and it's just, it's a gross film, but. That's that director all over.
The ones I've seen, it's the one I like the most.
Is it the one you like more?
Right, let's go on to this next movie, and it is Day 13 was The Relic.
The Relic.
Which I saw at the movies, the pictures. Did you see it at the pictures, Pete, when it came out?
No, mate. No, video was the first time I saw The Relic. Right. Okay. So, The Relic. It is, yeah, absolutely. Do you know what? For The Relic, I was shopping in Asda and it was there on Blu-ray for £7, and I thought, well, it saves me streaming it, and I kind of should own The Relic anyway, so I went and bought it. So I watched it in quite good quality. Right, okay. So the setup for The Relic, and you'll have to correct me if I get any of this wrong, Vas, because it's a little blurry. But the setup for The Relic is this archaeologist type dude is somewhere abroad. Seems to be
in Brazil, isn't it? I think South America.
South America, yeah. He seems to be around a campfire with some natives, and they offer him some kind of potion, a la Serpent and the Rainbow type scenario. At first, he thinks, "Cool, acid. This is going to be awesome. I'm going to have a good night." And then things start going a little bit awry, and he starts freaking out. And then the next scene, he's talking to this chap who's about to send a big freight ship over, trying to persuade him to, I think, take some items off the ship. And he doesn't really get much sense out of this guy. The guy's very dismissive, so he doesn't believe in that he's going to do anything. So he hops on board of said freight ship. Anyway, a couple of weeks later, the ship turns up into port in Chicago, and the entire crew have been slaughtered. They've all got the heads missing, and everyone's kind of mystified about this. Some of the cargo, worthwhile saying, is meant to go to Chicago's Natural History Museum as well. But in the interim, what happens, because of all these dead people, Tom Sizemore shows up as he's the lead detective, the lead homicide detective, looking to investigate why he's got so many dead bodies, what the link is possibly to, I believe, kind of, I think he thinks it's a drug-related issue. Drug smuggling-related issue. And then shortly afterwards, after a delivery has been made to the Chicago History Museum, there is a security guard who's smoking a wee doobie in the toilet in the building, and he is promptly killed by something that sounds a little bit like this. Roar, roar. You never see it, and it sounds huge, but you think to yourself, well, it can't be huge because it's somehow managed to fit into the downstairs fucking loo and slide underneath the toilet, which was a little bit weird. Maybe it grew. I don't know. Maybe it grew, but I was mystified, thinking, sometimes when I go in my own toilet downstairs, I clip my hip off the door frame. You know what I mean? This is a big monster. But it manages to do that without ease, without leaving any kind of physical evidence that it's in fact a monster. But this guy is found with his head missing, and Tom Sizemore thinks, well, hang fire, I've got a ship full of folk that are just like that. They had a lot of packages in there due to go to this museum. Me thinks there's a link. And then he goes on site to the horror museum and says, I think something is afoot in this history museum. If I wait around, I will catch my killer. And then horror ensues. Is that about right?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much that's the setup. Yeah, I would say
that's the setup. Okay. So this is directed by Peter Hyams. Now, this guy's a good director, I have to say.
He is a good director, yeah.
2010, Time Cop, Sudden Death, Running Scared, End of Days.
Yeah, I love Running Scared, me, Pete. Have you seen Running Scared?
I've seen Running Scared. It's a good film, man.
Fantastic buddy cop movie, that.
I don't think his career was ever the same after he made Sound of Thunder, because his trajectory is up, and then Sound of Thunder happens, and then he's making sequels to bloody Universal Soldier and stuff like that. I haven't seen it, but apparently it's very good, the one that he did. But that doesn't surprise me because he's a good filmmaker. Right, let me have a look. Trivia. The budget was 40 to 60 million. That's all Wikipedia has said about this. 40 to 60 million, which is a big arc. It made 48 million on its initial cinema release. It was based on a novel by a chap called Douglas Preston. The production was shut down twice as Hyams became too sick to work, because in quite a lot of the movie, the working with all the rain coming on and the sprinkler systems and all that, everyone got ill. Tom Sizemore got ill, caught the flu a couple of times, but the director got seriously ill twice, and production had to be shut down twice. Right, I'll go on to what I liked about this movie. Straight off the bat, it looks great, this film. The trailer for this movie, I remember seeing the trailer for this movie, and it give me the impression that this is going to be like Die Hard with Tom Sizemore and a monster. And I thought, wow, because all them external shots of all the police vehicles and the helicopter shots of the museum and people running out of the museum going, it was great. I was excited about this movie, and the movie delivers as well. It keeps that aesthetic up there. The cinematography is really tight, and it has those Spielbergian shards of light in different, nice.
The director, he does the cinematography as well, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Yes, absolutely. So I put, that it looks great. Right, Peter Hyams is a great director. Tom Sizemore in this movie, I thought was suitably cool. The gore is great in this movie. When you see the body on the slab that they're dissecting, it's not just a straight severed head. There's bits of his neck and back still attached to it, man, and it looks great. So I was liking that. It's
surprising for such a big budget movie to go full on the gore.
Absolutely. The body count as well. The body count's massive to this movie. Like, a lot of people die in this movie. Including the world's most stupidest fucking SWAT team I think I've ever seen in the movie.
That's a good scene, that, man. I enjoyed that scene.
So stupid. They lower themselves down, right? And they see a monster going, oh shit, get me back up. And I'm like, use one of your guns, dude. Shoot it or something. You're the SWAT team, aren't you? But they, did they not have no guns? Did they forget to bring them? I don't know. It made no sense, mate.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, it's weird. They're coming in from the skylight, and you're thinking they're not peering down to see what's happening. And like,
it's a window.
Look, there's a big monster down there. Let's shoot it. And nobody's doing anything.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. But maybe they don't know how windows work. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know, man. I put the creative design is really good in this movie. Not just the creature effects, and the creature effects is good. I thought the creature design is great. I liked it. I looked at, but the way they shoot the creature, like Ghoulies 2, for instance, they've got a big old light glaring at these creatures, and guess what? They look shit. The monster in this movie is, perfectly lit. So it never feels like it's three guys in a big gargantuan suit running about the place or anything like that. But the CG is used, and the CG is as of its time. It's dated a little bit, but it's never detracted from what's actually going on.
It does look good. It does look good. I remember when I watched it at the cinema, I always thought it looked a bit like the dinosaurs from Jurassic Park. That's what it kind of reminded me of. But on the rewatch, I thought that it's a pretty scary looking thing with the tusks and the teeth and a good looking monster, that man.
And the way it moves and everything like that, it's not a million miles away from bloody this thing.
No, I was thinking the exact same thing when I watched the host. Yeah, man, totally. I was
not a million miles away. I put the way the whole movie was filmed. Let me see, and also I really thought kind of it amped up suspense in certain set pieces. The bits where they're going through the sewers. And the poor guy is at the back, and that he's like, "Did you hear something?" He's like that, going, "No." And the next thing you know, he gets really pulled from under the water, and that monster's under the water. You just don't know who's going to get first.
You can tell it was the same producer that did Aliens, because it was it kind of reminds you of Aliens, doesn't it? Like the way when they're moving around in the water.
That's right. It's Gail Ann Hurd, isn't it? It's Gail Ann Hurd, and Gail Ann Hurd's name. Was when you saw Gail Ann Hurd's name on any kind of production when in the 80s or 90s, you were assured by that. It was a good name to see on the credits. Like it was Gail Ann Hurd. What I didn't like about the movie was Sizemore does seem to go missing in the third act. He's either walking along with a dog or on a radio going, "Get those people out of there," or he locks himself out with the fucking final battle. I'll close the door. I don't know whether that's because at the time he might have been battling with drugs or they had to do a couple of rewrites. But, all the way through the movie, he seems to be your lead guy, and then he locks himself out of the final battle, like Jack Burton. You know what I mean? And for the rest, for the bits beforehand, he's literally walking a dog going, "Ooh, that doesn't sound good. That doesn't smell good." And you're like, "Oh, okay." Let me see. I didn't think
believable though as a cop, though, isn't he? I thought it's really believable as a cop.
Yes, and when people are fucking up his crime scene, he gets suitably Tom Sizemore angry about it and that. You believe him. Like I put in here just a little note. It felt like it was maybe 10 minutes too long. But that's a small gripe. It was never boring. Don't get me wrong, but it is quite a long movie. Let me see. The DNA thing kind of bamboozled me a little bit. Is the monster the guy from the first scene then, or
it is? Yeah. It is. So apparently, I think he got on the ship, and because he was missing off the ship, I think he had turned into this monster thing, and then he there's a tunnel going from the museum to the river, and he had gone through that tunnel to get into the museum. So it was him that turned this creature.
Well, what were they talking about? Eating leaves and stuff like that. They were talking about eating leaves at some point. Must have eaten leaves.
I think that's what he's fed at the beginning. He was fed that stuff at the beginning, and that's why he was turning into it. And that's why when the beetles got in the box, they turned into these big, massive beetle things. I think.
All right. Yeah, no, that makes sense, mate. That makes sense. Let me see. And I just put one final gripe was the monster fits in the toilet at the start. But
I think it was getting bigger as it went along, though, Pete. I think it was. It was getting
was it
bigger.
right? Okay, fair enough. I'll let that small gripe off, but it's a solid 7 out of 10 movie for me. This it's a movie that I'll watch again, and it's a movie that I'm quite happy to have in my collection, mate. It's enjoyable. It's got genuine moments of tension there. The sewer, like I pointed out, kind of reminded me the bit in the fog with Silver Bullet. And anything that reminds me of Silver Bullet's good. So I liked it, mate. I had a good time. Solid 7 out of 10.
I'll probably agree with most of the things you said. It's a very slickly made movie. It looks very, very like polished. I reckon the director, I think he got his gig on End of Days from this movie. I'm pretty sure. That's why when he went on to make End of Days, I'm sure it is, because he doesn't normally make. I think this was his first like monster horror movie sort of thing. I totally enjoyed it. It's a little bit dark at times. You couldn't really see what was going on down all the dark tunnels, and when the lights went off, it was a little bit difficult. I enjoyed the lead woman. What's her name?
Penelope Ann Miller, I want to say.
Her. I thought she was cool in it.
She is good.
And she was a good hero at the end as well. She's really smart.
I do like that scene where it's kind of like, it reminds me of Sam Raimi's Crime Wave, where she's running through, closing all the doors, and the monsters go galloping behind her, going through all the doors.
Really, really good. I like that very much. She was so smart, like thinking of this plan. I don't know when she thought it up, but like she literally just got all the bits and pieces she need, and the plan was already in her head, and she just did it.
She didn't need Tom Sizemore at all. It's a good job he locked himself out, you know. She's basically saved Tom Sizemore's life, man.
Yeah, I like the stampede scene. That was really good when the monster, where the body falls down and everyone starts running, and it was like a disaster movie where everyone's falling over each other. That was an awesome scene, man. I really enjoyed that. I like movies that do that. Yeah, so it was like part disaster movie. It was very exciting as well. So there was part action in there as well, and the horror. But I think you got a bit of everything in that movie. Like,
I mean, it felt like you were watching a big budget movie. Like, it looked higher budget than its actual budget, and that's credit to the filmmakers and all involved, right enough. I would agree with you.
Yeah, so all in all, I really enjoyed it. I think it's been a good while since I've seen it. I think I've seen it once since it was on. I saw it at the pictures, and that was a long time ago. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I've got no problem with that movie at all. I think it's one of the better monster type movies that were out at that time. A lot better than Deep Rising, a lot better than Anaconda. I like the fact that it's like a serious. It had humor in it, but it was a serious horror film. Yeah,
and you know it doesn't whip out of trying to be technical, because like I say, it was quite technical in parts, and it lost yours truly a little bit, but you've just explained it. But
to be honest, I was the same. I was like, it's based on a book, but they weren't really explaining the story that well, and there was a lot of like technical jargon, the stuff that I'm sure it doesn't make any sense at all, but just to make the Penelope Ann Miller looks smart, all this kind of weird.
Yeah, no, absolutely, mate.
Yeah.
But it's just a nice little gem. Is the Relic?
I like the little the slimy characters. They all got the comeuppance as well. So that was satisfying when you see some like really not bad characters and they get killed, and you're like,
it sets them up, and they all get killed in nice. When you get towards the end of the movie, you start seeing the kills, and you start seeing the way that the monster actually decapitates folk, and it's fucking nasty. Like
it is,
it's really fucking nasty.
Yeah. So that's one where the SWAT guy's running away, and literally like the thing grabs him and picks him up as he's running away and rips him in half. It was a really good scene.
Yeah.
And that monster is all over the joint. There's like different groups in different places in the museum, and the monster's like, I'll go over there, kill them people. I'll come over here. Like he knows exactly where everybody is. It
like
just
Jason.
turns up everywhere.
Jason the monster.
Normally that wouldn't mind me, but I didn't really mind in this one.
No, you gotta go with the flow. You gotta go with the flow. But he is all over the place in this movie. But it makes a lot of sense that the monster is quite intelligent, because it's some professor dude really who's just been turned into a.
And he works there, so he must know the layout and everything, and maybe smell them or something. I don't know. Like,
is it a supernatural movie or is it a DNA movie?
Say again.
Is it a supernatural movie then, or is it a DNA movie? I don't know. But either way, it works. It's one of those films that it's a little gem. People forget about the Relic, and they visit it and they seem to like it, which it's nice. So I mean, I'm 7 out of 10. Vas, what are you on this one?
I'll give it the same. I'll give it a 7. I'll give it a 7.5 because I did have a good time with it. Yeah,
no problem, man. No problem.
Yeah, and I like seeing stuff like this when it's done well. When it's big budget, normally the big budget ones they normally cop out with the gore. They just don't go far enough. But this one here, man, it was like it wasn't afraid to like make a proper horror film.
Exactly, an R-rated horror movie. No, absolutely, absolutely.
You don't get many of them, do you? Like big budget ones. So yeah, kudos.
Not at all.
Right, let's get to these comments. Let's have a look. And Dave says, I like Frankenhooker pretty much overall. It had a good campy kind of silliness to it, plus some kind of horror to it as well. Maybe I give it a 6.5 out of 10.
Ooh,
I need to check that one out. It's the one that it sounds goofy as anything, but we'll see. Real Fifth Beetle. Mike's back. All right, man.
We missed you, Mike.
Oh yeah, we missed you terribly. Mike says he loves the Relic. Yeah, man. I do see a lot of people like dumping on the Relic. I don't see what they can not like about it. Yeah. Maybe it's the fact that it is quite dark to watch, but
possibly.
Yeah. think watching on a better picture probably makes all the difference.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I could see everything. I mean, it is dark in some scenes and that kind of thing, but you know, you want your monster movies to be dark in parts. You know, a la Jaws. Don't show the monster straight away, like it's suicide, or is it? And we'll get to that shortly. but yeah.
Dave says I find the Relic underrated. It had a lot of good basic spookiness to it. It was kind of creepy and kind of scary. Yeah, that's one thing I was going to say. It has tension, it has suspense, and it has a few jump scares. But it's not scary. But monster movies rarely are. Or are they? Although Jaws is a scary movie, and that's...
Yeah, I mean, I think you feel for the characters' possible peril in this movie. Well, the ones that you like anyway. You know, you're concerned that if should they come into this monster, you feel that they're going to die, and it establishes that quite nicely. So you do get a little bit concerned about the.
They do kill off a lot of the characters, don't they? They introduce them, and you're kind of thinking, they're taking the time to introduce these, like some of the coppers and that, and you're thinking, you quite like them, and you get to know them, and they're saying, they're going quite deep into these characters. Something must else be happening with them, and then they all die off, and it's like, like the coppers are mates and everything, and he's like, "Oh, you take care of yourself. Have you got bullets in your gun?" And it's like, yeah. And I'm like, they're both dying, man. They're both gonna get it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it seems we never hear much about it nowadays. A 7 out of 10. Yeah, agree with you totally. Tom Sizemore got jiggy with Liz Hurley. Lucky sod. Lucky guy. How do you manage that? Actually, that's the only little fact I know about the Relic. I don't know where I read this. It might be in Fangoria, but so before Tom Sizemore got the gig, I think this was his first lead role as as a hero, and he had talked to Robert De Niro when he got the script and said, "Oh, should I do this movie? It's a monster movie." And this will remind you exactly of Hollywood Shuffle. So Robert De Niro said to Tom Sizemore, "Does your character die in the movie, or does he survive at the end?" And Tom Sizemore said, "Oh no, he survives." And then he says, "Do the movie. If your character survives at the end, take the job." And when I remember reading that, and I was thinking, that's Hollywood Shuffle. That's what the guy says. If your character die in the movie, then it's a good role.
Good old De Niro. Career advice. And then De Niro went and did Rocky and Bullwinkle.
I think he produced that sucker as well.
Jesus.
Mike says, I think the Relic suffers from being a monster movie during the second slasher wave of the late 90s. Yeah, it was about the same time, wasn't it?
Yeah. Was it? Yeah, 97, I think it was. 97?
Yeah, 97, yeah.
Yeah, he's right.
Mike says, what's next week's topic? Next week is supernatural movies, isn't it?
Supernatural. We've got some good movies next week, mate. Really good movies.
Yeah. Look forward to them, man.
Yeah.
And we'll go through them at the end. Hassan says, supernatural.
He's on it.
He's got my back. Mike says, I'm starting to get that nostalgia for the late 90s that I have for the 80s. I'm an old man. Yeah, we're all around the same age, aren't we?
I feel that as well.
I'm exactly the same. It was like the beginning of the 90s. It started off really well, and then it really sunk down, and then it came back up again near the end, like the 90s.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that. I don't feel quite nostalgic about like the early 2000s as yet. It still feels that they're kind of current, but I guess they're not. You know what I mean? But that's just because I'm so old.
Don't remind us, man, Pete.
Totally.
Garrett says, I can still block you here, Riggy. Oh yeah, he's a mod, isn't he?
He's a mod here, is he?
He met her on Passenger. Oh yeah, he's in Passenger 57 with her. Yeah. Oh, she was gorgeous in Passenger 57 as well. She was primo. Elizabeth Hurley was in Passenger.
That was 57. Liz Hurley's purple patch as well. Tom Sizemore, fair play. What a guy.
Yeah, I know.
And he turned to drugs after that. Why? You know.
Yeah. You think he was like, that's his bucket list, wouldn't he? Would just to be living the high life.
I was going to say, maybe he thought, once he'd been with Liz Hurley, things can't actually get any better now. Fuck it, I'm just going to, piss all my talent away on coke and hookers. Fuck well.
Right, let's go on to the next movie, which is, we're there already, Pete. Day 14 is The Host.
The Host. Rightio, okay. So, the setup for The Host is, that's fantastic. The setup for the host is how do I start with this? The setup for the host is the setup. It's based on an actual event that took place in 2000. The American.
I tell you what, Pete, you just keep doing it. Yeah, I'm going to nip out for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, no problem. So the host is a monster movie, a South Korean monster movie that was made in 2006. The actual premise for the movie is based on a true event that took place in 2000, where a mortician in South Korea was working with the American government and was asked to flush a hell of a lot of formaldehyde into the drainage system to dispose of it, which would then flow into the Han River. Now, that scene takes place at the very first scene of the movie is this exact same thing that happens, which results in certain deformities starting to take place within the marine life in the Han River. There's a very good scene at the start of it where there's two fishermen and they see this kind of little two-tailed tadpole thing with a very twisted spine swim away from them, which is kind of foreboding for what is about to come. And then the next scene of the movie is essentially a family made up of an older father, a younger son, who they seem to run a business together, selling snacks and different things on the edge of the Han River for tourists. The son has a little girl, and who visits him. You get the impression very much that the father is quite an irresponsible chap, because he in one of the first scenes in the movie feeds his little girl a beer, which even she chastises for him, which is quite a funny scene. Shortly afterwards, the start of this movie doesn't mess around. A big monster literally just appears from the Han River, which you can only assume is this two-tailed tadpole thing that's very quickly grown or evolved. It jumps out of the side of the Han River and basically runs through crowds, killing people as it goes. There's pretty much a massacre scene within a kind of a freight. What do you call it? Like a wee locked room anyway, where the monster goes in and kills a bunch of people. But ultimately, what happens is the son, which is the main character of this story, he grabs his daughter's hand and starts running away from the monster that's literally mowing everybody down and killing everything in its path. And as he's falling over, he realizes that the hand that he's holding at that point in time isn't his daughter's at all. It's some strange kid who's looking at him going, get off me hand. And then the camera pans to a very iconic shot of the little girl who's sat there in the green, getting to her feet. And you can just see behind her the monster bearing down on her. The monster grabs her and takes her away into the Han River. The family are devastated. The brother and the sister all get involved in they're all mourning the death of this little girl here.
That's a funny scene, that, Pete, man, with the memorial, and they're all like screaming and crying. Movie's got a wicked sense of humor, man. That bit there was so funny. It went from being sad to being hilarious.
No, absolutely. No, it's important for me to say that the father has been sprayed with the monster's blood, so they're examining him, want to make sure that he hasn't got this weird virus that suddenly the media is talking about from the monster. But at the same time as he's getting examined, his mobile phone goes off, and it's in fact his daughter that's on the phone. He thinks it's her. So he's aware of the fact that she's alive, and he must stop at nothing to get her back. And therefore, the movie ensues. The race against time ensues, and the horror and the carnage and the deep sense of humor that runs through this movie also ensues as well. So this movie is directed by Bong Joon-ho, who's just a fantastic director with an amazing body of work. He made the unforgettable Memories of Murder. Now, if you haven't seen Memories of Murder, go see it. It's the story of Korea's first serial killer and how inept the police force were. They just didn't know how to deal with it. And the
same guy's in it, isn't it?
Same guy who's in it as well, absolutely. He's done Snowpiercer, Mother, and of course Parasite. An interesting little fact here, mate. I saw the I don't know if it was the UK or the Scottish premiere of The Host. I was at the Cameo Cinema, and the director was there, and he did a Q&A afterwards, and I got to actually ask him a question, and I asked him, this is after I'd watched the movie. I was like, the movie was great. Surely America's sniffing around you for a remake, right? And he said they are in talks, they are sniffing around, but there's nothing dead on the table. But I will only do it if I feel that my material is actually taken on board. And he was concerned that the kind of anti-America message would get lost in any American remake, because it is, there is that satirical anti-American message going through this movie, like, for sure.
I got that as well.
Totally right. So trivia. Let's take a look here. The budget was 11 million. The box office for this was 89.4 million. So it was a resounding success, this movie. All the stars had to have tetanuses due to working in the real sewers next to the Han River to prevent them from getting ill. Weta Effects did the creature effects on this movie. There's interesting enough, there's also quite a large special effects showreel available on YouTube for The Host 2, which is still an unmade movie at this point, but there's a massive special effects reel that you should totally check out. It's the monster on like a road chasing cars and shit. It's really, really good. Let me see. Right, okay. So what did I like about this movie? So straight off the bat, the direction is absolutely superb for this movie. The cinematography is also absolutely outstanding. Some of the panning shots through the rain, where they're running either towards or away from the monster, are stunning. The kind of shots that you expect to see in something, some kind of Oscar-winning movie. They're absolutely fantastic.
It's a very ambitious movie, isn't it? And it pulls 100%. It off easily.
100%. The relationship of the family is something to really admire in this movie. They really, they relay that. You realize how close they are, and how bent in grief that they are. There's when they initially find out, just how the kid died, his brother is kicking the shit out of him. He's going, "You fucking didn't even have, hold up your hand of your own daughter. You're a moron." Blah 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 blah. And he proper launches himself up and kicks him like. Then that ain't no stunt like. So I loved it. You felt that you were grieving with this family, but at the same time, there is that sense of humor, because in that very same grief scene, there's this biological man in his blooming, hazmat suit walks in like he owns the place, and for some reason unknown, the director just says, "Let's make him slip up and fall over in front of everybody just now," and they do it, and it works perfectly. It breaks that sadness and allows you to laugh at the grief that's being shown on the screen, which is it's fantastic direction. It's brave as well. The creature. The creature looks fantastic. It's a fantastic design. It's not an over-the-top creature at all. I think it's like the size.
What is it? What is it, Pete? Exactly.
It's a fish that has been doused with lots of formaldehyde that just mutates and grows and grows and grows. It's the first scene in the movie where the chap.
It's got tentacles and everything. So I was trying to work out what it started off being.
It's just a mutation, but the wee fish at the start looks like a wee tadpole of some sort of reptile. You don't even know, because it's got two tails and a twisted spine, even when you see it in its infancy. So it's kind of who knows. Let me see. The first 15 minutes of this movie are absolutely epic. I said in my last review there that you show the creature at your peril. Like Jaws, you kept it hidden. The Relic, they light it correctly and everything like that. This movie just goes, fuck all that. We're going to have a massacre right in the first 15 minutes of this movie. We're going to show the creatures straight away, and by God,
that's my favorite part of the movie. Is that first creature attack? I think.
What a set piece! What a set piece it is! It's and to be fair, maybe a minor gripe. It doesn't get that action packed again in the movie. It's the first 15 minutes of the movie, which could be a gripe, right enough. Let me see. I love the father-son dynamic. where the father, the father knows that his son is a relentless fuck up, but he just will stick up for him through thick and thin, even to his detriment. I mean, he even gets him killed in this movie because he says, I'm going to shoot this thing. How many bullets? How many? He's going, I've got one left, Dad. And he goes, brilliant. You guys run. I'll shoot him. And then click, it's empty, and the fucking guy's going like that, going, oh, I fucked up.
Exactly. The exact same moment that it happens.
Aye. My heart broke at that moment because his dad is such a lovely, lovely man, like in this movie. So I thought that dynamic was absolutely brilliant, and also I loved the social commentary in this movie. Agent Yellow, Agent Orange. You've got, I mean, this movie pretty much foretold bloody the COVID outbreak, did it not? There's so much that transpired in the COVID outbreak that's in this movie, which is mental. What I don't like, which isn't much, I don't like that they killed the daughter in the end. I really wanted that daughter to bloody survive, you know. She was such a lovely person. She gave her all. She protected that young boy all the way through, and she just doesn't make it. But that's a personal. I can't
believe that she died at the end. I was thinking, is she really dead? Maybe she's not dead. Maybe it's. But yeah, she died, man.
No, absolutely. I mean, for me, mate, for me, that's my movie of the week. I've seen it many times before. I own it. I love it. It's an 8.5 out of 10 for me. It's not quite Jaws like the poster says, but it's certainly ambitious like Jaws, and it's a great film. It's a great film. So 8.5 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I'm pretty close with your feelings there, Pete. I mean, putting the monster in the rain, and it's a hard thing to do, like a CG monster in the rain, and make it look believable. But it pulls it off easily, man. It's very, very impressive in places. I've got to say, I think the fact that it was so good in the first 20 minutes, I don't know if it ever recovers from that first 20 minutes for the rest of the movie. I like it went into comedy a bit, which I really liked, and the family stuff, which I also really liked. But I was hoping for a couple of more of those set pieces. I think it would have just pumped the movie up to like a top tier film. But
I think the massacre at the start is like on action level, let's say a 10, and the final fight at the end, which is good, but it's still only a 7 or an 8. You know, with the petrol bombs and all that. And I did like the bit where the sun appears right at the end with the spear, and he gets knocked around. It goes straight through him. I loved all that stuff, and obviously the arrow stuff and everything like that. But you're right; it doesn't get as good and dynamic as that it did in the first 15 minutes again in the movie.
It was all in all though. It's a wicked movie. I remember really liking it the first time I watched it, but I felt it a lot more like the emotional punch when I watched it this time, because it's done really well. It really makes you care about all the characters and care what's happening, and they have those bits where it's like with the monster, and it's the bits where the movie kind of stops for a second, and it allows you the time to see the consequences of what's about to happen. So everything just stops, and you realize, when she's trying to escape, where the creature brings all the people and stores them in the sewer. Like when she's trying to escape, and everything kind of just stops, and you realize, oh no, she's not going to make it out, and that's that
thing where that scene where they chase her, and the monster chases her and the little boy back into the hole in the wall, and just as it goes into the hole in the wall, it goes black, and then it's in a different scene. You're like, oh, did she make it? Did she not? It's great.
It does all the bits really, really well. Like it proper gets you on an emotional level. It kind of reminds me of Train to Busan, like having that emotional punch. It really levels up the film. And otherwise, without it would still be a good movie, but that really kind of just makes that little bit of difference. So man, it's one of those movies that does that. That's South Korean as well, isn't it? Train to Busan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, who knows?
I kind
Maybe
of prefer Train to Busan. I've got to say, if I've got to compare the two, I don't know if that's fair to do that, but I can prefer Train to Busan.
I think Train to Busan is a classic, and it's a 9 out of 10 movie for me. But, you know, it's full on action packed. You know, it just doesn't stop. It's relentless, that movie. This one probably has a little bit more, you know, social commentary. It's got a little bit more nuance about it. Yeah, it's probably a thinking man's monster movie as opposed to Train to Busan, which is die hard on a train with fucking zombies, man, and an emotional gut punch right at the end, just for good measure, like, you know, and some lovely characters that you completely endeared to. And
the main dude is awesome, man. It was horrible when he was like, where they were thinking he's got the virus and they were gonna do something to his head and do an operation. Like, how is he going to get out of this? And he just doesn't. He doesn't get out of it at all.
He doesn't. And did you get the impression that they lobotomized him, but in a certain way that actually put him right? Because he started.
I was wondering that. Yeah, I was thinking, how is it going to be afterwards? But he kind of seemed almost the same afterwards as he was beforehand.
He starts making smart decisions after that. His reflexes are up. She goes to stab him with a needle, and he catches her arm and stuff like that. And he's determined then, and everything he does isn't so haphazard. Since then, I got the impression that the movie was trying to say that after the lobotomy, whatever was wrong, it put it right. I don't know what that says about lobotomies, right enough, but strange. But again, that, you know, that's Bong Joon-ho. You know, his character turns in all of his movies are very strange.
I mean, a good portion of the movie, I couldn't even work out, was there a virus? I thought, no, there's no virus. And then it kind of made you think there was a virus. And the main character was like always itching his back. And I'm thinking, maybe there is a virus. And then you realize it's all the Americans just made it all up.
Yeah. There's, there ain't no virus in this movie, right enough. There's a lot of panic in this movie. That's
even the title, The Host. I think maybe it is a virus because the title is called The Host. Why is it called The Host?
That's a really good question. Well, you know, as the poster says, like question mark, what is the host? Yeah. What is the host? So, you know, it says it on the poster. You know.
Yeah, it's a smart monster movie. It is. It's like a smart one with a resonance that's gets you emotionally as well. So, it's a very impressive movie, I'd say. Yeah. I'll give it an 8. I'll give it an 8.
Fantastic.
Which is definitely like A grade.
Nice.
All right, let's get on these comments. I think we're a little bit behind.
No problem.
All right, Mike says, all right, Tom Sizemore met her on Passion 57. I saw that one, didn't we? He said she was the most perfect woman he'd ever seen. Yeah.
She kind of was on Passenger 57 as well.
She was, yeah. I wouldn't have said no.
Yeah.
Dave says, I also mean to thank you guys both for subscribing to my YouTube. I saw my alerts. All Lives Matter subscribes to me. Thank you so much, guys. Yep. Entirely welcome. Entirely welcome, mate. He's another one. And Mike's just subscribed to Davey Boy.
Oh, nice.
Mike says, I thought The Horse was slightly too long. You know, I've got to agree with him there. I thought it was.
It's a long movie.
Could have done with shaving. Not much off, like, but just a little bit of the pacing was, I said, because it's so exciting at the beginning. Yeah. And it starts off with such a bang. You do feel it a bit more than you probably normally would.
That's a fair comment.
Dave says, thanks to Mike for... I keep wanting to say Billy Preston. Lol, I'm not sure what that means. It might be a Beatle joke, I'm not sure. And or Pete Best. Maybe these are all Scousers, I guess. Dave says, I find it a DNA gone crazy mad kind of thing, Pete. Yeah, is that the... Okay.
Yeah.
Mike says, if you like Brits doing live streams, I live stream every week at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, usually Tuesday. Yeah, the midnight stream.
Yeah.
Dave says, I like The Host, even though it had a cliche anti-pollution type storyline, but overall it was fun and the monster looked pretty cool. I heard there was supposed to be a sequel.
Yeah.
Dave says, I give A Horse 6.5 out of a 10. Hassan says, what is the film you're most looking forward to for the rest of this month? I'm not really sure what's coming out the rest of this month. I suppose Terrifier.
Barbarian streaming on the 25th, mate. So it's coming
Is it?
soon. I think it's the 25th. Yeah. So
I'll let you watch it first, Pete, and you let me know. You'll know
Yeah,
if
that-
I'm sure you'll
that's the one I'm looking forward
gather
to.
whether I like it or not, and then let me know, isn't it? 'Cause I'm not in a massive rush to watch that movie. Mike says, I'm looking forward to watching Barbarian. There you go, when it finally drops in the UK.
Yeah. Dave
says, a while ago on Twitter, I told this actor, Dave Vecchio, a movie he was in as almost an extra, as he wasn't all that great. I wasn't being evil about it, but the movie he was in, Wolf Mother 2, was too Tarantino-ish. Wolf Mother. Interesting.
Totally.
And Dave says, the next thing I get an alert on my Twitter, literally from Tom Sizemore, that says, everybody's a critic. I laughed huge. I forgot he was in the movie for about 5 minutes.
That's brilliant.
That's mad.
I like that.
Mate.
Even in Tom Sizemore's drug-infused day, and that, you know, he was with his hookers, just taking another line of smack or whatever, and just went like that, going, Twitter? What was this Dave Bushki? Right, okay, where was I? I like that, man.
And Dave says, I replied back, I said, but you were okay in the movie, even though you were only in it briefly. Thank you, those Tom Sizemore, for the feedback. Yeah, man. Mike says, any idea when Terrifier 2 drops online?
We were talking about that. I mean, it's got to be soon. It'll be within the next 3 or 4 weeks. It has to. Yeah, it's got to be soon.
Right, dude, let's get into the next movie. And day 15 was Watchers 2, 1990. I tell you what, Pete, don't do a synopsis. I've got a little. I watched the trailer for it, and I thought that the first half of the trailer sums up the movie really, really well. Let's just play that, and I put a little bit at the end myself that I thought was funny in the movie. And let's check it out. Let's hope we don't get taken off the stream for this. Let's give it a whack.
No problem.
From a top-secret government laboratory come 2 genetically altered life forms. One is a dog of astonishing intelligence. The other, a hybrid monster of a brutally violent nature. From Dinar Kuntz's electrifying bestseller, Watchers, springs a new and terrifying creation.
What the fuck is going on, man?
Watchers 2.
That's good.
I stuck the Indian man. I stuck the Indian guy there in the end because I thought that was a funny thing in the movie. What the fuck is going on, man?
He was the best thing in it. He was the best thing in it. Right, listen. Yeah, right. Okay, well, let's get to it. It was directed by a guy called Thierry Knotts, and his filmography is pretty slim, to be fair. The only other film I could see that I kind of heard of was something called The Terror Within, and I kind of heard of it, certainly never seen it. Trivia: it was produced by Roger Corman, which makes a lot of sense, I have to say.
I think the first one is as well, isn't it?
Oh, is it? Right, I didn't realise that.
Sure
there was no theatrical release at all for this movie, and the critics weren't very kind either. They called it, one critic called it a joyless exercise. And for the most part, I've got to agree with that. Like, to be fair, I'll get on to what I liked and what I didn't like. So what I liked was some of Mark Singer's delivery is quite good. He is a likable person. Right? He's a likable actor. Okay? And that is the only good thing that I could say about this movie, right? So what I didn't like about this movie,
the monster shit, man. What the hell is that? Just a guy in the suit.
It's fucking dreadful.
It's got no design or nothing, man. It's just what the hell is it?
And it looks fuck all like it's supposed to be the same creature from the first one. It looks nothing like it.
I know. At least the first one kind of looks like an animal. Like you can almost like mistake it for a werewolf in the first one.
But in the bit at the start, mate, the sound to it as well. It's literally like, ooh, what shall the monster sound like? Should we sample some some tigers from the zoo or something like that? No, just have a guy going like this. And that's it. That's how much effort they put in this. So I put mostly all of it, hated it. It's repetitive, cheap, poorly shot, poorly directed, poorly acted, shit sound design. It's dull, it's boring, it's beyond stupid. Like an adult has written a Goosebumps episode I put here. The monster is fucking terrible in every shape or form. Even when it's just in the shadows, it's fucking stupid. Let me see. Ooh, I've lost Vassy. Oh, he's back. Is he back?
I'm not back. I'm stuck. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfect.
Where's my picture got, dude?
Hopefully it'll catch up any second. Thought I was alone there for a second, Vass.
At least I'm smiling.
Talking about watches too. Right, I'll finish my morning. Let me see. Oh, yeah. Okay. These are the final things that I wrote. Dog on a computer. Dog choosing Mark Singer's clothes. Dog orders a pizza. Dog chooses name from a phone book. What the fuck? I hated this film, Vass. Hope Vassy comes back. I'm sure he will. This happened just before the stream, and it took about 30 seconds for him to come back on. But I'll keep prattling on about this movie. I hated this movie. I thought it was cheap as chips. It was absolutely dreadful to see. And you know, Mark Singers is quite an okayish actor. He's seems like quite a nice guy. And to see him in this straight to movie fare and delivering kind of like yippee-ki-yay motherfucker lines and stuff like that just didn't work for me. It's weird. It was almost like 45 minutes into the movie that made this PG crappy movie where, you know, the humor is very slight. It feels like quite a cartoon, and it feels like halfway through the director went, oh, by the way, we're allowed to have an 18 certificate. So then everything changes. Suddenly you get gore, then you get Mr. Singer swearing and effing and blinding it whenever he can. You know, and what's with teddy bears in this movie? Like, you know, this monster just, he wanders around taking teddy bears, and he dresses as well. At one point, he's actually dressed in a cloak or a robe, and he disguises himself as a homeless dude. He goes down to the homeless place, probably bumped into Michael Myers from Halloween Ends, and gathers around a fire, warming his little hands. But is discovered by another homeless dude. It's nuts. Like I can't tell you how much I dislike this movie. It was my worst movie of the year, of the week, and I'm going to give it 1 out of 10. I implore anybody not to watch it and waste your time with this movie. So, hi, Vass, welcome back.
Something's happened to my camera. I don't know what it is. I've got my webcam on, which looks horrible, but I have to do with it.
You look good to me, Vass. I've just given Watchers 1 out of 10. I despise this movie.
Oh, that's harsh, Pete. That's super harsh. It wasn't that bad.
I despise it. And the 1 is just purely for Mr. Singer's screen presence. You know, he's the Beastmaster. He's the guy out of V. You know, I like him in that. Just not so much when he's delivering Die Hard lines and stuff like that. Yeah. Hated this movie, mate. What did you think?
Hey, what do you think is worse or better than Ghoulies 2?
Oh, it's a tough one. What did I give Ghoulies 2? 2. Okay. Yeah, I thought it was worse than Ghoulies 2. Yeah, I thought it was worse than Ghoulies 2. Yeah.
It's not a good movie. Yeah, it's cheap. I thought I'll agree with you, Mark Singer. Like, he makes the movie watchable, and I liked him in it, and I like the dog, the smart dog, and I don't like dogs. But I thought the dog in this was cool. Einstein, wasn't it?
You were off it. You were off air. I wrote in the things that I didn't like. I went dog on a computer. Yeah, I went dog on a computer. Dog choosing Mark Singer's clothes. Dog orders pizza. Dog chooses name from a phone book. What the fuck?
I like the dog. I like the dog. I like Mark Singer. And I liked when he went all hardcore at the end with the gun and the shooting and all that business. I thought it was quite exciting. I think if the monster was just a little bit better, I think it would have been like a decent movie. But it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad at all, mate. I don't know why you've been so harsh on it.
Maybe because I just watched Halloween Ends. It might be because I was still angry about Halloween Ends, and then I had to watch Watchers too. I think that was probably it, mate, to be fair.
You know, I didn't mind it at all. I mean, like I said, the monster's absolutely rubbish. The story's exactly the same story as the first one. The first one is a lot better, and the first one's got Michael Ironside in as well, which is also a bonus.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I didn't mind this one at all. Only the monster was a little bit better. I would said it's absolutely like fine, but yeah, it was watchable. I got through it all, and I was like, yeah, it was a one-time watch. Nothing too bad apart from the monster, and I thought Mr. Singh in the shop was awesome. I thought he was cool.
He was the best thing in it. He was the best thing in this movie. He just takes no shit, that guy. Like, no shit whatsoever. Like, he's like that going, you can't bring a fucking dog in here. And I was like, yeah. You know, because every scene I'm watching, I'm thinking, wherever they take that fucking dog, someone dies. You know, stop taking, kill the dog. Kill the dog. And then it's, the monster stops following you. Kill it.
Yeah, I think this is the only movie of all the movies from this week that actually had some nudity in it as well. I don't think any other had any nudity in it, did it?
Right.
This one had a little bit in it.
And it felt like it was, I was saying beforehand that, it felt like for the first half of the movie, I was watching a PG-13 movie where there wasn't even no bad language in it or anything like that. There was no gore, there was nothing. It was insinuated. And then halfway through, everything just got amped up. Like the director was like, we're going to have an 18 certificate now. We weren't going to before. So, singer, I want you to swear. You can now drop a few F-bombs. We're going to show people getting their eyes ripped out. We're going to get some titties. We're going to amp this up a little bit. It felt like it was purposely amped up in the second half.
Yeah, I thought it was. I liked the humor in the movie. I thought it had some Mark Singer's funny, man. I thought he was very personable, and he had a nice little sense of humor, and there was some little funny scenes in there, like with the dog. It looked like the dog was driving the car. I thought I chuckled, man. I was like, yeah, that's cool, man. More of that.
Yeah,
you weren't impressed, Pete. You weren't impressed at all.
Because it's a fucking dog driving a car, and these two coppers are like that going. They're just completely oblivious to this happening. All these people on the street going, "That's strange," and I'm like, "What the fuck is this film, man?" Listen, it's a movie that I'll never ever watch again, ever. And is it as bad as Ghoulies 2? Yeah, I'm gonna say
it's not. It's not.
I don't like Ghoulies 2 as well. Like, they're both equally as bad. I'm never watching both ever again. I felt for Matt.
I thought. I mean, I wasn't. There was no moment in the movie when I was like, I was struggling to get through it. I was taken through it just fine. It's just every time the monster came up, I was like, oh, that looks so shit. Why have they got the monster like that? It looks rubbish.
It did look so shit. I mean,
really, really bad, man. I mean, it does spoil the movie. But for what it was, I really, really, really didn't mind. And Mark Singer's cool, man. He's a cool dude. I think he should have made more movies.
What you gonna give this one, Glass?
I'll give it a 5. Why not? I'll give it a 5.
Generous.
The one-time watch. If you haven't seen the movie and you come across somewhere, it's actually on YouTube. Actually, if you want to watch it, you'll. I don't think it's a waste to spend an hour and a half watching that movie. It's not a very long movie, is it?
No. I mean, that was the one thing I had going. It was over quite quickly. Thank Christ.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So I mean,
right. So let's move on from that and check out these comments, and we'll get on with the last movie. Let's have a look here. Oh no, I've got that one already. The real Fifth Beatle, Mike says, Watchers was done far better in the TV show Chimera. Oh god, I remember Chimera. Now that was a good monster in that movie. That was a scary monster.
Was good, yeah,
absolutely. Chimera is a good one, man. I haven't seen that in ages. I wonder if that's available anywhere.
That was it British, was it not?
It was, yeah. It was like a two-parter.
Yeah, I always remember the thing where he goes in the hospital and nails all the nurses and stuff like that, and all the nurses' dead bodies are lying all over the place. That was scary, that Chimera.
It was, it was really, really well done. Yeah. That was better than Watchers 2. Mike says, The Terror Within is a classic monster movie from the late 80s.
Right, okay.
The one with that guy in from, what's his name? George. What's the name of the guy in the Creep Show 2? The one with the Indian wooden dude. What's the name of that guy that's in that movies?
I know what you mean. I think he's in it. You're right. He is.
Yeah. The cover's got like 4 or something on the cover, isn't it?
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes, it does. And it's Kennedy. his
George
surname?
Kennedy. That's it. That's
George
it,
Kennedy.
dude. You
That's
got it.
it.
You got it. George Kennedy. That was gonna do my head in that if I didn't get that name. Yeah, George Kennedy. He's a good guy. Mark says Mark Singer was in Dallas. Oh, was he really? It's cool as Donovan V, man. I used to love V. I watched that not too long ago. It still holds up, man. V.
V's great, man. V's great.
Yeah. Even the series was good as well.
Yeah.
It's got a cool theme as well. The V theme is amazing.
I even like the updated version of V.
I didn't mind it either. I didn't mind it at all.
It ends on a real cliffhanger, and it just got up and never came back. I was good.
Yeah, I'm surprised you saw that bit. Yeah, I remember watching that, and I was like, I got through both seasons.
Me too.
Gareth says 2 more sequels after the second film, or I think one of them's called Watch the Skies, isn't it? I don't know which one that is.
Gareth,
those look really terrible.
Was it you who nominated this one? Watchers too, Gareth. I think we've got you to thank for this one.
It wouldn't surprise me.
And maybe Ghoulies too as well.
Got a lot to answer for. Gareth says Dean Koontz wrote the book the first film was based on, but there are no book sequels. Yeah. It's really is the same story exactly again with the dog and the monster. They're connected, and dog's really smart.
Very smart.
And the monster wants the dog in it. Dave says I love Train to Busan part 1. I give it an 8 out of a boosted 10. I'll give it a solid 10, man. I love it. I just didn't like a part of the ending where one character dies. I just didn't like that part. I'm not sure which character that is. Nearly everybody dies in that movie.
Yeah, totally. Unless he's talking about the heartbreak character.
Maybe. No worries, Davey. We got exactly what you meant. Right, let's get on to this last movie. Time is getting on. And that is Pumpkinhead from 1988.
Yes.
And let me get rid of this comment. What am I doing? Right. Go ahead, Pete.
Okay. Pumpkinhead, aka Vengeance the Demon. Good poster, that, mate. That's a good poster. And it's also that annoying chick out of Ghoulies 2 as well. So, this that alone was worth the price of admission, seeing her get killed in this movie like she should have got killed in Ghoulies 2.
Young Superman's in it as well, isn't he? Young Superman from the original Superman movie. Young Clark Kent.
Young Clark Kent, that's right, mate. That's right. Okay, so directed by Stan Winston himself, and it was the script was sent to Stan Winston, and he figured with the budget involved, because I think the budget was only $3.5 million, that he would obviously give his colleagues the special effects to deal with, and that would give him more kind of freedom on directing the movie himself. It was a project that he really kind of liked. It's based on a poem, would you believe or not? I have the poem. Do you want me to read the poem?
Go for it.
Right, let me read the poem. 2 seconds here, mate. I'll just bring it up on my phone.
This is another movie that's like a dark fairy tale, isn't it?
100%.
Like a folk tale.
Right, here we go. Just loading up here, mate. Accept the cookies. Here we go. So, the poem is by... Who's it by? A guy called Ed Justin. Okay? So the poem says, keep away from Pumpkinhead unless you're tired of living. His enemies are mostly dead. He's mean and unforgiving. Laugh at him and you're undone, but in some dreadful fashion. Vengeance he considers fun and plans it with a passion. Time will not erase or blot a plot that he is brewing. It's when you think that he's forgot, he'll conjure your undoing. Bolted doors and windows barred, guard dogs prowling in the yard. Won't protect you in your bed. Nothing will from Pumpkinhead.
Nice.
So yeah, based on a poem, and they developed a script around this poem, which is pretty cool. Okay, so like I say, the budget was $3.5 million. Empire magazine, which I was kind of shocked at when I read this, they give it 2 out of 5 stars and called it a Friday the 13th clone.
Nothing
does
like
that
it.
Make any sense? Yeah, does that make any sense?
Like it.
It makes no sense to me whatsoever. Like, right, so the setup for the movie is basically there is a chap played by Lance Henriksen. He lives in the deep countryside with his son and they have a really good relationship. We don't really know where Mammy is. I'm guessing she passed away or something like that. And they're a really nice father and son unit.
You notice his fake buck teeth that he had?
I didn't, man. No, I
Yeah,
didn't.
he got fake buck teeth. I never noticed that when I first.
You mean Lance Henriksen?
Yeah.
Yes, he does. You're right. He does. I thought it was. Yes, yeah. Well,
nice.
The one particular day, these bunch of outsiders show up, city folk, they park near their place of residence. And Lance Henriksen's, I think he owns a convenience store, and he's going to deliver something to a local man. And while he's out, the outsiders pull out 2 motorcycles and they start doing stunts all around the place. And the noise from the motorcycles spook the family dog, and the dog runs towards the motorcycles. Now, the child, Lance Henriksen's son, runs to essentially aid the dog, to help the dog, to save the dog. But unfortunately, one of the motorcycles hits the little boy and kills him outright. And it doesn't
kill him outright. It doesn't kill him outright.
Oh, sorry, but he eventually dies. My apologies. He eventually dies.
They could have saved him if they just really took him to the hospital or something. I'm sure they could have saved him.
They could have. But one of the characters had been drinking that day, so he's actually more bothered about himself getting pinched by the coppers and serving a stretch for dangerous driving, and that's the guy who's actually hit the kid. So you don't like these people.
He's a bastard.
He is a bastard, man. He's a bastard, this guy. And he promptly takes his girlfriend who wants to help the kid, and he's like, "No, we're going," and he starts hitting his friends and everything. He's a very selfish bastard, this man. So one of the they all go and they try and find some help. Well, a couple of them try and find some help, and one of them stays with the little child. The Lance Henriksen comes back, turns back up, and sees that his child is mortally injured, picks him up and starts walking away. And it's a really cool scene. The guy kind of walking after him and says something to the effect of, "Can I help?" or something like that. And Lance Henriksen turns around and just gives him this death stare. This fucking death stare. And the guy shits himself. Yeah, the guy shits himself. And quite rightfully, if Lance ever looked at me like that, I would shit my pants there in the spot as well. So anyway, long story short, the son dies, unfortunately, but Lance remembers this little experience when he was a child, where there was some kind of wrong that had been done in the township, and he was locked up indoors, and he heard one of his neighbors being pursued by something, he didn't know what, and he knocked on his door, and his father wouldn't let them in. He didn't want the trouble at his doorstep, and he'd heard that this man was promptly killed afterwards. So he figured there's something going on with that. I want me a bit of that. I want revenge. So he finally asks around, and finally this child points him in the direction of a local witch.
The witchiest witch you've ever seen in your life. I mean,
she is the witchiest witch, and she's got a great bit of dialogue in this movie. He goes, "God damn you!" and she goes, "He already has.
You're a fool, Ed Harley."
Yes, Ed Harley. So this witch tells him to go to a local cemetery area and dig up a deformed baby, I guess it is, from the pumpkin patch, and bring it back.
It's a cemetery, the pumpkin patch, man. That's a
that's right.
looking thing.
That's right. It is good looking set. She promptly casts this spell, and this demon is born, which is genetically linked to Lance Henriksen, who will now go after these perpetrators who killed his son, and visit on them the harshest revenge possible. And then
anybody gets in his way as well.
Anybody gets in his way as well. Absolutely. So, what I liked about this movie, when it finished, and these are notes I wrote when it finished. It's I thought it was a simple, sad tale of revenge. It's not host complicated. There are not subplots going, left, right, and center. There's no social commentary. It's straightforward. It's very direct, and it's also bloody sad because you like Lance Henriksen's character, and you like his son's character, and you like their dynamic together. So to see that disrupted by these city folk kind of pisses you off, type of thing, as the viewer. Let me see. I also wrote Lance Henriksen's on good form in this movie. Seems to be enjoying himself in this movie, and he's got this country accent on there. He's doing some acting. in this movie. I wrote here, I got to see the annoying lady from Ghoulies 2 get killed in this one. She does get it tight as well. I have to say, after he carves a cross on her forehead.
Oh, is that her? Is it?
Yeah, that's her. And what he does is he presses her face against the window, taunting her friends and that, and then this goes through, and she just bleeds out, and that's a great kill. All right, let me see.
Papa shoves her face in the window, doesn't he? Like a lip gloss.
Exactly. I put the witch is suitably creepy. The kills don't mess about. They're not long and drawn out or anything like that. They are quite short and choppy. But they're effective. And one, he pretty much just drags this woman, takes her up to the tallest tree that he can find, and just fucking drops her. It does the job, on a rock, and back's all broken and everything. So they don't mess around with the kills, and I really appreciate that. The creature design is epic. The Pumpkinhead looks amazing in this movie. Kind of a cross.
I think the best looking monster of any of the movies we saw this week. I've got to say, this one was the best.
Yeah. And he's quite intelligent as well. The bit where he takes the bike chain off the bike and that. Yeah. We're going somewhere.
Going anywhere.
Smart. Let me see. The creative design is epic. Stan Winston's directing is surprisingly good. For a debut movie, it's surprisingly good. He certainly knows how to make a creature, and he definitely knows how to light a creature as well. There's something about the look of the film that is as of its time. It's got a little bit of an Aliens aesthetic to it. The color of the light and everything like that. But it works. The
creature looks more and more like Lance Henriksen as it goes through, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. At the end, it's Lance's face on it, looking right at him, and that. Absolutely. What I didn't like, let me see. And the only thing that I really didn't like was, for reasons unknown, during the first kill, where the neighbors kind of banging on people's doors and stuff like that, which is a good scene, the demon pops up. For reasons unknown, there's a shot in that first kill which is a bit naff. They whack the camera right in front of the demon, right underneath its chin, and it goes, and it looks like a piece of rubber swiping at a camera. And they never make that mistake again for the rest of the film. And I have no idea why that shot was allowed in the film. They could have shown nothing and got away with it. That was my only gripe from the movie. I really like this movie, Bass. It's what I call a gem. It's a comfort blanket of a film. It's that good. There's, like I say, there's nothing too complicated. It's just a nice little revenge tale, and it's the old-fashioned story of, you want revenge, you better dig 2 graves. Lance Henriksen realizes in this movie that his soul gradually is getting taken to hell, and when he sees the carnage that this demon's causing, there's a very good scene where he pulls up in the car, and he's obviously imagining it, but his dead son kind of wakes up and goes, "What did you do, Daddy?" And and that's when he starts having these internal battles. It's just a very good film. It deserves a lot more credit than it gets. But perhaps the copious amount of sequels that it got maybe kind of took the shine off it a little bit for people. I don't know, but it's a movie that should be more widely available than it actually is. I think we're yet to see in the UK a decent Blu-ray release of this. I think Scream Factory has one in the States, but I'm not sure that I've ever seen a release of this on Blu-ray or 4K in the UK. So if you want it, you've got to import it or download it, which seems a bit of a crime given the quality of this movie. And given the fact that I can go down the shop and buy Ghoulies 2 on fucking Blu-ray, it seems like a fucking crime. So I'm going to give this a 7.5 out of 10, Vass. I really enjoyed this movie. It was a pleasure revisiting it. I forgot actually how good this film is. Over to you.
Yeah, man, I agree entirely with pretty much everything you said, man. It's just a very good watch. It's a really, really good movie. It's been so long since I've seen this film, and I think my notes are almost exactly the same as you. I say the movie's it's a really short movie, less than 90 minutes. This is the opening credits lasted for 3 minutes. The opening credits and the closing credits, add them together, it's like an 80-minute movie, and I think it's to its credit that it didn't try and dilute the movie. It's the simplicity of the movie, like you said, is one of its strong points. That I'm not surprised it's based on a poem, because there's not much story to it. It's just like a folk tale, and it's just like a simple premise, and because it's got such a good monster taking you through the movie, it's just satisfying to watch, like from beginning to end. So I'm super happy they didn't pad it out to add other stuff in just to lengthen it. They just added a bit. That opening credit was really, really long.
Yeah.
I think every single name was one name on the screen at a time. I'm like, get on, start the movie, man. I wouldn't mind if they just shortened that a little bit. You did get the feeling that they got to the end of the production and went, shit, this is quite a short movie, man. And they were like, okay, don't worry about it. We'll have some nice titles. We'll just make that shit last 4 or 5 minutes or whatever. Why do they call the witch Haggis? What kind of name is that for a witch? Call it Haggis. Yeah. Haggis the witch.
Haggis the witch. It's a strange one. I mean, she is a hag, mate. But haggis. When people say haggis to me, I go like that. Yum yum, yum yum. I love haggis. Love it.
Have you eaten haggis?
Oh, mate, I eat haggis all the time. It's fucking brilliant haggis, man.
In Scotland, don't you?
Honestly, if you ever get the opportunity, you get vegetable haggis as well.
You'll eat anything, won't you, Pete?
Oh, mate, honestly, haggis is one of them things. When I moved up here, I was like, no way, never. And then I tried it one time. I was like, yum, 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 yum. Haggis, neeps, and tatties. Thank you very much.
You're a strange one, Pete. You're a strange one. Yeah, the set design in the movie is really, really good, man. The witch's house, looks like a proper witch's house with all the vines and everything on it. I mean, the set design was amazing. And the cemetery pumpkin patch thing, it looked amazing, man. It looked really, really good.
It looked like a wee bonsai painting, that pumpkin patch, the way, or something out of a Tim Burton film. It was
absolutely. Yeah. But it's a very, very good movie. I noticed there was no colored people in the movie, no black people in it at all. It was like up to the whitest movie I've ever seen in my life. It's been since a very long time since I've seen a movie with only white people in the movie and no minorities in it at all.
That is true. Hey, I never noticed that myself, but yeah, you're right. There is no black people, zero black people in this movie. It's weird. That's weird.
Could have stuck one in there, wouldn't it? Although they would have killed them off straight away.
There wasn't a black person in this movie, but Empire says that it's a Friday the 13th clone. There's black people in Friday the 13th. They're usually the first guys to go. Yeah. So it can't be a clone, man. It can't be. But yeah, it was a strange thing. I don't know if it got a cinema release in the UK or anything like that. I don't think so. I just remember it coming to
it did. I really don't think it did. Yeah, I gotta admit, I prefer the title "Vengeance of the Demon." I think it's a better title than Pumpkinhead.
Me too.
Pumpkinhead, it makes it sound less good than it is. I mean, it's a proper monster movie, and Pumpkinhead is a crappy title for it.
Yeah, but, I think actually Vengeance of the Demon was its first title, according to Wikipedia. Anyway, it was its first title, but they opted for Pumpkinhead, which is a strange one. But I know when it was released in the UK, we got Vengeance the Demon. Mm-hmm. So that was supposed to be its original title, but they've gone for Pumpkinhead just so it would sit quite nicely with the other slashers at the time, Freddy, Jason, and all that. Pumpkinhead, and I remember it did. Fangoria, Heroes of Horror at the time. Pumpkinhead was up there with Freddy and Jason and all that. They always used to be in the same sentences.
The design of Pumpkinhead is right up there with Predator and Aliens. It's a bit of a mishmash, to be honest. That you can see a bit of Predator in there, and you see a bit of Aliens in Pumpkinhead, can't you? Totally.
Definitely, it always reminded me of the alien from Aliens. Just a different color, the shape of its head, the way it walked, its legs, everything like that. Very alien-esque, but it's Stan Winston. So you've got to trust in Stan. But it's a great
Stan Winston got some sort of weird. Like he really likes this kind of backwards. The family that they go see. I mean, is there really a place like that in America? I mean, these people look like proper hicks, like rednecks.
Yeah, they're not.
I was thinking that he made Wrong Turn as well, didn't he? And that's the same sort of.
Yeah, I think if there's places like that in America, yes. The Everglades as well is renowned for kind of like real fucked up shit going on in the Everglades. I mean, listen, if we've got any American viewers or anything like that, please tell us if we're wrong. But these things are only based on what people see or hear that's around them. Absolutely.
Right.
So what are you giving that out of 10, bud?
All right, yeah, sure. I'll give that an 8, man. Easy. It's an easy 8.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. Definitely holds up, man. Holds up really, really well.
100%. Right. Well, that's
a lot of movies you watch them like after a long time. You're like, I must have been a kid and I liked it because I was a kid. But that one really holds up. I think I might have even liked it a bit more than I did back then because you're right. It's like a sad movie. You can really feel Lance Henriksen's pain.
Yeah, and you as a viewer, when I watch it, you kind of think, oh, if they'd have only done this, if only not done this, if only not that. You kind of trying to mansplain away ways to save the kid because you really don't want the kid to die. He's such a nice kid in the movie. You know what I mean? You don't get off on the death of this kid at all. You're saddened by it. You'd prefer it not to happen, which ultimately would render the movie completely, impotent. But you'd prefer.
Yeah, but Pumpkinhead's a winner. I'm thinking, is that the? I think that. What score did I give the host? Did I give that an 8?
I think you give that an 8.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I think this might be my favorite movie of all the monster movies I watched this week.
Yeah,
this might be the one.
It's a great movie. So fair play to you, mate. Fair play. Great movie.
Crowd pleaser. Right, let's get on with his comments. Dave said, I found Watchers, I think it was the first one, where they turn a dog into the monster in the story. I found the whole story way too sad, especially the ending, way too sad for me to enjoy it. I don't think the dog turned into a monster, did it?
Can't remember. I just remember Corey Haim. I do believe the dog typed in the keyboard in the first one as well with a pencil at the mouth. So
basically, Mark Singer is like swapped out for Corey Haim in the second one, isn't he?
Totally.
It's the exact same sort of character.
Totally.
Dave says, meaning for the movie Watchers. I felt bad for the dog. Right. That makes sense.
Oh, and he's me saying, you should have just killed the fucking dog, man. You should have just killed the fucking dog. Sorry, Dave.
Hassan says, what are you both going to do on Halloween? I think we're going to watch Halloween, aren't we, Pete?
Yes. Yep, that's the plan. Watch Halloween. Get that nasty taste out of my mouth from Halloween Ends.
Yeah, and Dave says George Kennedy he was in Creepshow too. Yeah, I like George Kennedy, man.
Yeah, he's a good actor. Good actor.
Right, I think that's the end of the comments. Right, we've got through Monster Week, and next week is going to be Supernatural Week. Can you find those movies, Pete? And let us know what we're going to watch.
So day one starting tomorrow. We've got House of the Devil, Slow Burn. Day 2, we've got Event Horizon.
Oh, that's going to be hard to beat. It's going to be hard to beat.
It's going to be hard to beat that, mate. But there's some good movies here, though, mate. Day 3, we've got Drag Me to Hell, another great movie. Yeah,
that's on iPlayer, though. If you haven't got it, it's on iPlayer.
I've got it.
Oh, you got it.
Oh, yeah, so far I've got all of them. Day 4, Demons.
What is it?
Demons.
Oh yeah, Demons.
Demons. Yeah.
I've still got your copy of Demons, Pete. I've still got your copy of Demons that you give us.
Keep it. I think it's on Shudder anyway, so I'm fine. So Demons. Then day 5, we've got The First Power with Lou Diamond Phillips.
All right.
It's been a long time for me since I've seen this movie. So will it be good?
Watch that, buddy boy.
Day 6, we've got The Right with Anthony Hopkins. Now, I remember the first time I saw this movie, I wasn't overly impressed, but you never know.
I saw it just quite recently because me and my wife have been on a Anthony Hopkins kick. We're watching a load of his movies, and we watched that quite recently. It was all right. He's the best thing about it. Yeah, that's Anthony Hopkins.
Right, and day 7 is Fallen with Denzel Washington.
All right, cool.
I've got no problem.
On DVD as well, so that's
yeah. Well, listen, I think that's quite a healthy week next week. I'm quite looking forward to it. There's some good movies there. I
don't think there's a single one there I haven't seen. That's good. That's the first time it's happened.
That is. So I mean, next week, because we've seen these movies and we'll do the reviews and stuff like that. You talked about before. Next week, should we maybe pop a link in so people can jump on and say that?
Yeah, definitely. I'll try and get that set up and get a link. And if anybody wants to join in and talk about any of these movies, because even if you haven't watched them this week, you must have watched them because they're all quite big movies.
There's a wee review.
Hop on and tell us what you think about them. That'd be awesome. Let's do that. We've done that before now, but let's do that. So yeah, crack on with the rest of these comments, and I think we're going to call it a night.
No problem. Oh, Vas, before you do the comments, mate, right?
Yeah.
Before you do the comments, I'm gonna do it for you because you're very humble and you never do this. Please like and subscribe Vassi's channel. He's a legend. He works very bloody hard on this channel and his content and everything like that. So any kind of support you can give him, share a link around your friends or something like that. If you could do that, that would be absolutely awesome. And it rewarded, his hard work. I think it shows the quality of his work, his intros and everything like that. And he's an all right, nice dude as well. So if you could like, subscribe, and share, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, man, that'd be lovely. Thank you very much. Cheers, Pete, man.
No problem.
Right, I think we've only got one last comment, and it's Dave. I found the Pumpkinhead sequels very hit and miss. I don't think I've seen. Actually, I think I might have seen Blood Wings, the second one, and
right.
I think the quality of the monster in that one is a lot less than it is on the original Pumpkinhead.
I've not seen a make
I think very low budget. I think they're all direct-to-video made for that, but yeah,
niche market.
The third one, I think there might be 4 of them actually, but I think I've seen the second one, and I think the director on that is the director. He just makes rubbish sequels. I think he did Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, Leatherface, and he's made a bunch of just sequels, and he's like the sequel guy. Just to make money, hire this guy. He can use a camera, but he's not very hasn't got much of a vision or anything about a movie. He'll just crank one out for you and get it on there.
Getting in video chops.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks everybody who watched the stream. We'll see you next week for Slasher Week. Same time, same place.
Supernatural Week next week. Supernatural
Supernatural Week. I'm going back in time, mate. This 31 days of Halloween's got me all turned around.
Exactly.
It's Supernatural Week next week. So we will see you there. Thank you very much for watching and take care. Do you want to say goodbye, Pete?
Thank you to everybody, and listen, pleasure.